I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body.
All right, so an interesting question came up the other night in a live stream, and I wanted to ask you guys your thoughts on this. And it's actually a very long-running question, but what are your thoughts on why Mickey Mouse wears pants and Donald Duck doesn't?
Because we have a thing called gross indecency.
That's too short of an answer.
My thing, I think it is, would be exposure, because Donald Duck is based on a duck, which has a cloaca, which means his junk goes inside him when he's not using it. And a mouse is a mammal, so his junk's exposed at all times.
That's actually a fairly good scientific explanation. My thoughts, at least on why Donald Duck and why most birds tend to not wear pants, is they usually are aquatic fowl, and therefore they need to swim. And if they're swimming like right at about the waistline. They don't want to get their pants wet.
Oh, I thought you were going with shrinkage, just the water just made it.
No. Well, cloacas, they don't have that problem. Ducks,
Drag.
male ducks do not have
And
a
it would
shrinkage
weigh 'em
problem
down,
at
you
all.
see.
At all.
Male ducks have a terrifyingly large and long
Yes,
explosive,
and even worse, like spiked and just
spiky,
hideous, like-
spiky spiraled, and basically comes out in an explosive manner. To
Well,
if you've never seen how a duck, I know nobody should know. It's almost, it's very
that's
much like
What's the
educational.
one YouTube video with the guy who pretends like he's Morgan Freeman talking, like,
Oh,
the
yeah,
interesting facts of ducks or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Watch his video on ducks.
Yes.
That cracks me up every time I watch it.
it's
And then
hilarious.
ducks prepare to mount the
It's,
female.
no, it's Z Frank. It's Z
to
Frank.
give him the most horrifying experience ever.
Have you never
It's
watched?
so much worse.
Have you never watched
Wow.
Z Frank, Mike? He's been around for a very long time.
I believe I have on occasion.
And
Yeah,
it's
If
true
it's the same
facts.
dude I'm thinking about.
Yeah, it's
True facts.
True
The true
facts
facts.
about the duck.
Yeah.
Now, when he did,
Yeah.
have you seen the true facts about Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman.
that is
Mor-
amazing.
Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. So Morgan Freeman was old until he looked,
And
or
it's like
he
a
was young.
white, I want to say he's Canadian too. It's like a white dude that does like a
Yeah.
perfect Morgan Freeman impersonation.
It's very, very good.
Probably.
It's so no, if you've never heard that particular bit, it is absolutely hilarious. But the true facts about the thing, my favorite one was sea cucumbers. That was a
Oh,
fantastic
yeah.
one, because he talks about how they have no real self-defense, so they vomit out their intestines to
Their guts.
their
yeah.
guts.
They're all
out
guts,
of-
yeah.
And they were talking about how it's a, what did he say? It's like a universal in and out hole.
And then they had the one on the boxing shrimp or whatever it was.
Oh,
That's so
mantis
funny.
shrimp. Mantis shrimp. Yes.
Mantis
Oh,
shrimp.
yeah.
Yes. No, it's just
He's
fantastic.
got a whole run of them.
Because
Yeah, they're good things.
he's scientifically accurate with most of it, and then just hilarious with the rest. He just takes
And then you add in the Morgan Freeman part, and you just believe anything the guy says.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
pretty much.
Morgan Freeman narrates his own life, but he actually narrates
Yeah, the
everyone's
true
life.
facts of Morgan Freeman as read by Morgan Freeman. That one was funny.
That was just fucking great. I mean, it's a pretty close one. There's other people who've done better, but that's actually very, very, very close, and it's just funny. And he doesn't do as many as he used to, just in general. But no, back on the silly Disney anthropomorphic animal problem. The other thing that came up that is also a long-standing question is, why is Pluto a dog, but Goofy's also a dog, but one's anthropomorphic and the other is not? And I had to give them the sad, somewhat truth that seems to have come out.
I think it's the type of dog.
I don't think it's a type situation. I think it's a developmental situation.
Oh yeah, you think he's mentally ridiculous?
That has been the longest.
To borrow a phrase.
Yes, that has been the longest running theory, is that they didn't know what to do with their mentally ridiculous friend, and therefore they just did this. But
I would have went with next step in dog evolution. So
what he is, or Goofy is?
Goofy.
Well, the problem is that there is entirely anthropomorphic dogs. There's entirely anthropomorphic mice, ducks, other birds, tigers, bulls, whatever, depending on which Disney afternoon
But
series
then they
you're
also
going
have
through.
just normal animals of them too in those same cartoons.
But do
Yeah.
they? But do they? Because that's the thing. Is like in some, I think other than maybe having like seagulls and like birds and stuff like that and fish, I don't know that they have like pets in the same way. If they do, they tend to be like other types of things. I think maybe somebody had a cat, but there's also not that many cat people involved in the Disney Afternoon verse.
But I'm saying
know,
it's more. What I'm saying is more like there's the bulls that can walk around on 2 feet and talk and interact with each other,
Yeah.
but then they also do like the running of the bulls at Pamplona, and those bulls aren't running on 2 feet; they're just regular bulls running.
But in which
So it's either
which series
it's either
did
they
they
have
do
both
that?
options. Didn't Donald Duck fight a bull? Like in the bull, there's a bullfighting one
Yeah.
with Donald Duck.
Maybe
Yep.
in the
Now it's just a
old
normal bull.
maybe in the old
Yeah.
cartoons. But if we're going with the Disney anniversary, or I'm sorry, the Disney Afternoon verse, where especially when they started doing the crossovers with all the DuckTales and stuff like that, and we just kind of pretend that
Right.
Goof Troop and all that is also involved, and
Gotcha.
and actually
Maybe
the
it's
new
a choice thing. Like they can
DuckTales,
stand up.
yeah. Well, it's either that
Like they
or
choose.
what is it, like Planet of the Apes, where they all got given a virus that evolves them, except for some,
Yeah.
like because
Yeah.
in Planet of the Apes,
Yeah,
and
it never made sense to me. It's like here you got anthropomorphic animals, right? And then ordinary animals. It just never made sense.
no, but
It's
So
like,
that's
but
what I'm
these
saying.
are
What if
the
it
these are the mutant animal overlords, and basically ruling
what if
over
it's
the
like
ordinary animals.
what if it's put it in more modern perspective, the issues that we've been having for the last couple of years,
Mhm.
and you have some people that are asymptomatic. They can have it, no reaction to it. So instead of being something that mutates them upwards to being intelligent, maybe all the animals were intelligent, but then when whatever virus went out there, reverted them back to just normal animals, but some of them it doesn't affect because
So
they're
it's a
asymptomatic.
simian flu. It's a simian flu,
Yeah.
also from
There you go.
bring it back to
But
Planet
then
of the Apes.
explain Chip and Dale, who were originally just
Well,
happy little
well, that's
chipmunks.
the
And
difference
then
is
you
there.
got Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, which hey, they're putting on a jacket, they're flying around in a little mini plane.
Well,
I'm
now
gonna
we
need you to put a
know
little
they.
more respect in your voice when you talk about Rescue
Yeah.
Rangers.
Well, hold on.
Hey, I
Hold
have
on, Mike.
nothing wrong with Rescue Rangers.
Hold on, Mike. We have the answer to that now because any animals that operated like that, but in a human world, were in the Roger Rabbit universe. So that doesn't count.
They got upgraded.
Well, they're not upgraded. I'm just saying they exist in a universe where humans and animals coexist, and toons are a thing. It's not animals; they're toons.
Now you brought up Roger Rabbit, and I'll refer back to what I said earlier about some of them are like this and some of them just aren't. Remember the end when they busted through the wall and went into Toontown?
Mhm.
They had regular squirrels running around and upright anthropomorphic squirrels standing around talking to each other.
That's because
so
those are toons, and therefore they function that way. But if we say that there's a toon universe that has nothing to do with our universe, then you would assume that natural law applies somehow to that. But yeah, I like the idea that somehow there was a virus that got released that has de-evolved some or advanced others.
Like Animal Farm.
The Mario Brothers. The Mario Brothers. Koopa. Dennis Hopper Koopa stuck their heads up in the machine and
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Best movie ever.
Like Animal Farm. Like Animal Farm. Some animals are more equal than others.
That's kind of true.
The commies.
Well, hold on.
Well,
yeah, that's true. But then again, wasn't that Pete's deal with Goofy? Like, he definitely saw himself as better. So there are social constructs within that universe, very similar to regular humans. But then you also have the lowest class, which is the pet class. Is that what it turns into? Because also in that universe, we don't have full size oh no, I take that back. In the DuckTales universe, you do have rat people. Like you've got you have whatever Megavolt technically was, he was some type of rat guy. So those people.
But now here's
exist.
my question: if it is a class thing, and so you have Pluto being a normal dog because it's a class thing.
Class/evolution.
He goes and fetches the newspaper. So wouldn't that make him an indentured servant?
Well, I was trying not to go there. Well, see, here's the thing:
That's racist.
Well, this is what I'm getting at. If it's a pet class, what do you do there? Because if they are technically on a lower level, they're not just somebody who's like you that you force to be naked and roll around on the floor and lick your face. which
God.
getting into a completely different problem here.
So some of them are basically privileged animals.
Some animals
while
are
others
better.
are not.
No, I like the idea that maybe there is an evolutionary
So some
divergence.
are American animals and the others are. I think that's what Mike's doing.
Well,
Shots
And
at.
the others are
Well,
everyone
hold on.
else.
No, we learn in DuckTales and in Tailspin that the world is the world. There are more Russians.
Mhm.
There's Germans. There's French type people or whatever Don Carnage technically is. He's just pirate sounding. And then you get Taurus Bulba, I believe, was technically supposed to be either German or Russian. I can't remember what.
Did
his
you just
accent
say
was.
Vulva?
Bulba from DuckTales, the
Oh, okay.
opening of DuckTales. So the main bad guy was
Okay.
Taurus Bulba. He was the big bull dude. Looked like they kind of anthropomorphized Ferdinand.
I got you.
But like
Now the big question:
and they also have monkeys and people too.
why does this keep you up at night wondering?
It
this?
doesn't. I sleep fine knowing that cartoons are perfectly safe. And we didn't ask these questions when we were kids, but then somebody.
Oh, I did. When I was a kid, I figured the mice all went in the walls and just started acting because of Ralphie. You remember the book Ralphie with the bike, the
Hold
mouse
on.
with the motorcycle?
Yeah.
We're getting some big echo for some reason. That was crazy.
That's what I always thought of as mice.
Huh.
I think we're getting echo on your end, Mike.
Odd.
Yeah, it's like I was hearing Rikki repeating, and now I'm hearing myself repeating.
How about now?
I don't know. Let me see.
Okay.
Rikki,
How about now?
Nope, good. Okay.
All right.
So, yeah, it doesn't know what to do sometimes.
No, I always thought
I
that
checked my
mice
settings.
went behind the wall and they had, like a little city or a little town or something like that, where they hung out with their mice bros and
Mice
whatnot.
town.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
very American tales.
Yeah.
That happened in my brain.
Like Bugs Life.
Okay,
Or Fievel
well, look at it this
Goes to
way.
America or
In
whatever.
any of the Don Bluth animal type things like that, they were always just normal animals operating in the human world, much like Ratatouille, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So those would all fall under toons in the Roger Rabbit universe. So in theory, they were actors acting in a movie there.
They were just tune actors hired to be those movies.
There were Jewish mice hired to play Jewish mice in the 30s or whatever time it was supposed to be. I forget. I don't know if was that World War II or one. I don't know which one.
How do you know they were Jewish mice?
Two.
Did you see
Because
that
they were
cartoon on Star?
Mouskowitz. They were German Jewish mice.
Nope, they were Russian Jews.
Oh, they
were
were
Russian.
Russian Jews. I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
Apologies.
That was like one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. They were Russian.
That's right. They were Russian. The cats
Yep.
were pretty. I forgot about that. I remember the dancing
Because there were
now.
cats ran around with the fur hats
The
on.
hat. Yep. They had
Right.
yes. That's right. Oh my God.
They had the Putin outfits on, chasing after the
the
mice.
Putin outfits. Good Lord. But they were all actors. There's Mike in his hat.
They look just like that.
Yeah.
You guys can't see
Right.
Mike in his hat.
Ushankas and Fleetwood America.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, can we get off of
Yes,
duck
we can.
dicks and mice
We can
dicks
because
and
we
stuff now?
can
Like,
start the proper episode now. Guys, welcome back to
right.
Now You Made It Awkward episode 5. And we do have Rikki filling in. Seemingly Shaun is going to be too busy to really join us. So Rikki might be filling in temporarily or permanently. We'll see what happens. But we all know Ricky's a
what's
good
going
guest.
on,
So,
party peoples?
Yes.
What's going on?
So, of course, I am SHOKY, and you can follow me at all these SHOKY-related things down below. And we have Mike, the Comic Relief Crusader,
Yeah, hello.
and he just got up to 200 subscribers on his channel.
Well, thank you very much.
Hit the big.
I heard as his 200 celebration, he's going to be giving away MP scaled G1 Soundwave boxes to people in Florida.
Oh yeah, and only the Florida.
only in Dade County.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not going down to Miami to pick up. No,
That was my
appreciate
point.
it.
That was
And
my
if you
fucking
support
point.
Disney, you don't get one. So
Oh, I hate Disney, so we're down.
Yes.
good enough.
And speaking of Disney, we will be here in a bit,
Ugh.
but for the most part,
Oi, Gewalt.
yes, Oigevalt.
Disney.
We're going very yes.
I see how you tied it back to the Mouskowitzes there.
Exactly.
There we go, see?
It's always a callback. So guys, if you are listening on audio, by all means, cool. Hit that like button or give us a rating, whatever system you're looking at. Whether it's on Podbean, we're available on Audible, Spotify, We're still not on iTunes yet. They don't like us apparently, or I haven't clicked the final button. I don't know. There was like a 7-stage process to get on iTunes. Google also has us, and there was another service that also. But if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button, because we got to get the new independent channel with a few more subscribers. I think we only have 6 currently. But I'm still sharing it on the SHOKY channel and on my Facebooks as well. So
I'm one of them.
you are.
And ditto.
Yeah, we're all one of them. So at least 3 or 4 of the subscribers to the channel are us. So it doesn't help.
50% of the subscriber list.
Well, Sean's one as well. So 4 out of the 6 are actually, I guess all 6 are probably us, because I think I subscribed with my other channels too.
Yeah.
So we have no
Somebody's
external
gotta make it
listeners.
relevant.
And if you guys have any
God.
questions or comments that you want to send to us, you can send it to NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail@gmail.com, which is linked down below. Stop shaking your head, Ricky. I had to go with the longest thing I could possibly think
Dude,
of.
I'm getting carpal tunnel thinking about typing that shit.
You don't have to type it, because you can right-click on it and say email. Because it's
Trying to
just
impress me with your computer knowledge.
my computer knowledge. Just having links. That's the best way to go about it. All right. So, Ricky, since you are at least technically a guest, you can drink your Monster real quick, and then I'll let you talk.
Oh, I can do both, man. I'm a champ.
He can drink his Monster and talk. He's a
You see,
ventriloquist.
you like that?
Yes. So, how the fuck was your week, or at least the amount of time since you were here last?
Ooh, I don't remember. What has it been? A couple weeks since I've been here?
It's been 3 weeks since you were here, but
it's been
2
about
weeks
3.
since
3
we
weeks.
did one, so we're good. So, like, we did the one with
Alright.
you, and then we did one more, and then we took 2 weeks off.
Oh, slackers. So, I'm gonna say I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but I got a few things in the mail.
Mhm.
I've gotten the New Age Devastator, Legends
Ooh.
Devastator, the Magic Square Legends Devastator. I got the non-monkey pants for my train combiner for the Moon Studios.
Me too.
Nice.
It's I love that figure.
Did
Like,
you
this
break any?
combiner is going to be amazing.
Did you break anything on it?
Nope.
Okay,
But
so
I'll tell you what I didn't do. I'm gonna
follow
shout
Bobby's
out the
instructions.
Skullface Review channel. No, the Skullface Review channel, because I couldn't figure out how to get the damn combiner hips to stay together.
Yeah,
And there's
the
like
latch.
some little the little
Latch.
Invisi tabs.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I transformed that thing through all 3
Mhm.
things without the instructions and just never saw them.
Yep.
And a couple of the guys who are in the Patreon on there, they told me when I first mentioned it, they're like, dude, when you find out where it's at, you're gonna be mad at yourself how easy
Mhm.
they were.
Yeah,
Like,
I told
was
Bobby
mad.
too, but he had already figured it out by the time I told him.
Yeah, I shot him a message. I was like, please, in your video, make sure you zoom in on this one part if you figure it out, because I can't.
Well,
for the life of me.
There's the 2 tabs that flip up to solidify the other thing, but then when you do the crotch of just the robot, you do have the 2 latches in the crotch that hold the legs together a little bit better.
Mhm.
But it's those other
Yeah.
tabs that hold the combiner crotch
Combiner
together.
guys.
Yeah, because when
Yeah.
out of the box, and mine was exactly the same as yours and Bobby's,
Yeah.
where it wasn't 100% transformed right. It was like 98%, roughly, and it
It was
was
pretty close.
in crotch
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah.
To keep the box the same size, they had to put it transformed, because robot or train mode, they would have had to make a new box. But it
Yeah.
is a good figure. I do have a couple small issues on mine, but if you watch my review, which is live, you can go check that out.
So yeah, I didn't have any issues with mine. I take that back. I did have one, but it was an easy fix. The hip skirt things on
Mhm.
the side.
Yep.
The 2 things that you have to attach to each other.
Mhm.
One of mine was installed backwards.
Oh, really?
So it exposed like the waffling or whatever. All you had to do was pop it off that little peg, turn it around, and pop it back on again.
Well, that's not bad.
But then after I transformed it, I figured out that was stupid and complicated for me to do. All I had to do was twist
Rotate
it.
it. I was literally thinking about it. It just rotates. I was like, all you had to do was spin it.
But when I first looked at it, I didn't know all that. I hadn't gotten into the transformation. I just saw it was backwards. It said pop, put it back on, and then while transforming, I'm like, you moron, you could have just spun it.
Damn,
I will-
outsmarted again.
Exactly. Well, I did the same thing in a couple of the other spots, but luckily they built this thing in such a way that most of the parts you're gonna have trouble with pop off rather
Go back
than
together.
break. But then there's so much about it that pops off that you don't want. Like I had a lot of my panels don't want to stay together. So like the combiner crotch plates, or I'm sorry, the skirt, which also makes the train sides.
Right.
Yep.
You know, it's got the double, like the
The
cammed
little gray
hinge.
tab things.
Well, no, it's got
Yep.
the cammed hinge where you raise and lower the outside part. So
Gotcha.
that didn't want to rotate in place. It just pushed and split it open instead. So
Gotcha.
the second hinge didn't want to actually do its job. And so eventually, once I got it loosened, it was fine. But luckily, the panels just pop apart and you just squish them back together.
Squish back together. But
yeah.
I mean, it's amazing because everybody's assuming it's Zeta. It's fine. I'll say, okay, maybe it's Zeta. But if it's not, whoever this company is, they have to know something. Yeah. They have to do something or know something, because how they've made this, I've seen other companies that have been around for longer time struggle with a combiner.
I think
whereas
it's
this supposedly brand new company is just doing it.
Well, I think they're an offshoot. They're not Zeta directly. I think if somebody from Zeta did it, for whatever reason.
Zeta left Toy World and somebody left them.
Well, it's the same. It's the same
like a
reason.
Splinter faction.
Yeah. Well, it's either that or it's the same reason why their Predacon or Predaking hasn't come about yet either. You know, and then we see teasers from somebody else. It's like, wait a minute, that is the Zeta Predaking. How the hell did it end up okay? And then we saw this. We saw this Raiden
the King
teaser.
Toys one?
Yeah, not the King Toys. No, the King Toys is bad.
I was gonna say that is not a Zeta. That is not Zeta.
But no, there's something about it. I agree that this looks like Zeta engineering, but I wouldn't say, and even a lot of Zeta's overall issues too. So if you've got their Superion, there's a lot of QC problems, and I've had QC problems with all three of my train bots, most of which is minor and annoying, but not like breaking, you know. Whereas Bobby is definitely broken.
One that I had to break because I was trying to get it replaced. Was it Iceland, the green and gray one?
Yeah.
Right.
When he's in boot mode, you know those parts that become the roof, you're supposed to split the one and lay it in front of the other.
Yep.
So it just kind of sticks up like the tongue of a shoe.
Yep.
Well, when mine was built, those hinges were definitely put on backwards. So you couldn't swing it over.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it, and I don't know how they did. It wasn't pinned. It wasn't like a short peg and a long peg where you can just slide it over and top. I could not figure out how to get this part. I think they literally put it in and then glued the back piece on, so kind of hold it all sandwiched together.
Probably.
So I got mine through BBTS, and I took pictures of it, and I sent it to him. I'm like, look, dude, I mean, I have tried. Like, you can see, I took pictures. I was like, you see where it's already starting to get stress marks from where I've tried to work that pin out, or that peg system or whatever, tried to work it just to get it to pop loose.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, well, let me check and see if we have any back stock. We can figure out how to trade it out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nope, we have no extra bits. He said, but he wrote me back an email. He's like, but if it was fully broken, caused by a manufacturing issue, we could replace it for you instantly. I was like, oh, really? He's like, yep, I would just need a picture of the broken part, show me that it's broken, and I'll send you out a replacement. I went, cool. Nice. And I went, pop, just like this, and it just snapped that little thing right off.
Yeah.
And I took a picture, and I said, you mean like that? He's like, yep, here's your tracking number for your new one. And so I have two of them now. I have one that's perfect, and the other one that's with the broken piece. So,
and the broken piece is still usable technically.
It's still because all it did was break the hinge out of there.
Yeah.
So now you can actually fold that piece down just on the one hinge into the front and just tuck the other hinge back. Other than that, it's perfect. Yeah. You wouldn't know unless you were looking for it. Yeah. So a friend of mine said he wanted it, so I'm sitting on it to hear back from him. I told him, I said, I'll give it to you, like $50, $60, something like that. I don't care, whatever it is. You just have it. And other than that, my only other QC is on the Dark Knight, the blue one. When you take the sides of the train and you wrap it around the boot at the bottom.
Yeah.
Those little gray hinges that help it flex around. One of mine is too long. Like, you can look at the one right above it and you see that it's longer. So when you go to try to bend it flat like this, it pushes that bottom part out like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect anything. It all still goes around and pegs in and does everything it's supposed to. It makes it kind of totter a little, because when it flexes it like this, it makes a point
pushing
right
it
there.
out. Yep.
So it totters a tiny little bit. But I'm like, if when I put the combiner together, if that makes me think that it's unstable, I'll just pop that little gray piece out and just let the thing sit back flat again.
Yeah.
But nothing detrimental to it. They all go through all their modes like it's no problem. So yeah, that's that.
You know the one problem I have with my Iceland, I think it is like the major QC problem. You know when he's in boot mode and you wrap the things around, and they have those two big white tabs that go into the thighs.
Yeah.
One of mine was nearly double as thick as it was supposed to be, so it actually
So it
wouldn't peg in. So I actually had to shave it down because it was doing this. It was pushing the whole thing out, and I couldn't connect the back piece. And actually on one of mine, you know, because it's just a hinge with a ball joint to flip the sides around.
Yeah.
It always pops off because it's not enough clearance to turn it and then turn it in. So
is it on the? It's on the pants one, right? You're talking about that front part of the train that folds down and folds in.
No. I'm talking about on Iceland. So you know the part that wraps around the back to be the boot. So that's the side panel. It's on that hinge with a ball joint. It pops off the ball joint every single time.
Really?
Yeah. And
I found like there's like a little trick. There's a little trick. I learned that because mine did it too. Is when you go to pull it out, first rotate it inwards and then fold it in like this.
I've done it, and
then
it's still
fold it outwards.
It still will.
Really?
I mean, it takes no effort to pop it off. So what I was doing was turning it and then turning it, like you're talking about. So basically taking it around the corner because otherwise it won't.
Right.
And then eventually I just said, fuck it. If it pops off, all I can do is just stick it in place, and then I put a spudger behind it and go and pop it back in.
Yep, push it back in.
It's just it's annoying. They just didn't give it. The clearances are usually the problem with that. I've actually had to trim down tabs on the side panels on the blue guy
and that's the stuff that makes it feel like a Zeta, because that's big time Zeta stuff is the clearances.
Oh, the you know when you put the blue guy Dark Knight into train mode, and you know the panels all line up, and then you got the gray pieces that are from the backpack that swing out, and they're supposed to slot, you know, like a little bit of a slot. The slot was too small. Like the slot was too small for the tab. I actually had to widen the slot to make it go on the tab.
Really?
That definitely legitimately sounds like Zeta QC stuff.
Yeah, that sounds a lot, or it sounds like a real shitty factory, and that's what it is. And then like tab or not tab, nub removal. Like they don't, when they cut stuff off the runner, they're not cleaning it up worth a damn. So on my iron arm, one of them,
the leftover sprue pieces.
Yeah, we call those nubs in the modeling community. So there's one like really wide one on the edge of an orange piece on my iron arm. I need to clear it off. But I noticed it during the review. I was like, holy shit. And I showed it off. I was like, look at the fucking tab. It's like ridiculous. It's like, and I had to actually rub a couple down because they were keeping hinges from bending. And I was like, fuck. It's like, they assemble it so fast that they don't have time to clean it up, as it were.
See, but that's my thing about it being a good combiner is even at the end of the day, all those are just minor annoyances. None of them are really like, it's not detrimental to what it's trying to do. It's just obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like, whereas some other companies have made combiners where the build and quality of the combiner makes it next to impossible to put it all the way together correctly without breaking something. And that to me, that is a huge flaw. That's a huge QC thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And this hasn't been that way, so I'm okay with that. Cool. But I mean, every company learns from it. I know the one company that I'm thinking of, they've already talked about it, corrected it, and working towards making better for the next one. So I don't ever hold them. Like, I don't assume, like, let's use Zeta. I don't assume because my Superion had problem stabbing, I'm not just going to automatically assume my Bruticus is going to have the same thing. I don't assume either way. I wait till I have it in hand, because a lot of times they learn from their mistakes and fix it.
Generally, yeah. See, now I have a reason to get the Bruticus because I have an Autobot combiner that I can now have them go.
Nice.
So I've got.
Well, I'm in the train bots.
Yeah, so you know I've got Scorponok fighting Omega Supreme there, and I've got Superion fighting Devastator over there. So when I now have an Autobot combiner, it's got to fight somebody. And I know Bruticus probably wasn't around by then, but and somehow even in that continuity, the like Devastator, the Constructicons lived that long, even though some other ones didn't. And we're still hoping for a really good Superion.
I think I might have talked about it last time I hear. Mine is my OCD and keeping my shelves balanced.
Yeah,
right now I have 3 Decepticon combiners and 1 Autobot combiner.
Because they haven't done shit for Autobot combiners.
Well, there's not really too many they can do. So I'll have 3 by the end of this. I have Superion. I've got the X Transbots Defensor I'm working on.
Right.
I have Groove and Streetwise, and
Cool.
then I'll have this Raiden, which again I don't know anything about the cartoon, never watched it, don't care. It's an Autobot, it's a combiner, it's going on my shelf, and it looks cool.
It's
so
a
that
big
kind of all adds up.
big chunky combiner too. That's what I like about it.
It's going to be tall. I've had this conversation. People argue with me about it, but I think it's going to be a little bit taller than the Superion. Like,
maybe a little, but not that
I think
much.
so, yeah.
Because
about
I think
a quarter inch. That's what I said.
well, because I'm looking
inch.
because we're looking at Shoki. That's the chest / shoulders that is coming. He's only, even in combined mode, he's only as tall as his train mode. So, and he's the same as Iceland. So, you know, you'll basically add Iceland with a head, and that's basically. I mean, I don't think the wing thingies are going to stick up too high.
I don't count that. I don't count wings and stuff
Just
as part
the
of the
head,
height
yeah.
when I'm comparing. I'm going to the top of the head, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you can get a good real estimate if you build him up. So he just basically he's gonna sit on top of Iron Arm because that's the torso basically, and so just add maybe like an inch and a quarter, if that, for a head, you know, and neck.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just take that other one that I have that has the busted piece on it and just lay it up there.
Yeah, that'll give you.
But
a
as
really
of right
good...
now, just going by what we have, because that bot's not. That's not the full. That would be like the bottom part of an ab crunch on a regular one.
Yeah,
So
and I think they will give us an ab crunch too. I think they will.
I have it set up right next to my Superion right now, pants and legs, and that bottom part of its ab crunch is about a quarter inch taller than the bottom part of the ab crunch on Superion. That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be a little taller, and people fight me and argue me on it, but I'm telling you, I have a feeling.
Well,
I'm okay with it.
We'll find out this month probably. In theory, it comes out
we're
this
talking
month.
about fucking trains that are all of a sudden 500 feet tall, so I'm not that guy who's like scale. I'm not that guy. So
I don't know about 500, but yes, he's pretty tall. Mike, actually, how tall is Ride? Mike would know.
Yeah, I kind of would. Yeah. So
the scale chart guy would know.
I don't have that scale chart because it's the Japanese one, but I got his American one, G1, and it's awesome. In fact, it's that one that's behind him. I see it with Triptychon on it.
Yeah.
That
I have that same one.
And signed.
Yep. And you can get those scale charts where?
No, by Peter Cullen and Frank Welger.
Okay. Yeah, no, his is nice. Yeah. I was trying to plug Mike's
shit. You sent me the downgrade with no Peter?
I did.
You know. You jerk.
I was trying to do a plug for Mike's website, and you guys talked over it, fuckers.
Well, you can plug it now.
Yeah. I was saying, where can you get those scale charts, Mike?
So, and then... No, I'm just playing.
My freelance graphics, that's with a K.com.
Link down below. Fuck you, Rikki.
Bing.
What's a link?
It's a hyperlink.
From Zelda?
It's a
website.
It's a hyperlink. You click on it.
These talking picture boxes confuse me.
Yeah.
Exactly. The noises, they confound me.
The spirits in the box are talking to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it on the train one is pretty legit.
Yes.
I also just got in the other day. I think it came in Thursday, but I literally had no time until I opened the shipping package yesterday, and I just opened the figures today. I got the Wave 4 of the Thundercats with Pumra and Linkso and Monkeyan and the Snowman
from Super 7.
Yep, the Super 7 ones. Yep. And so they're Super 7. So, I mean, you already know. Everybody's going to complain about this, complain about that. I don't care. They look cool. I've been thinking about, because I'm buying them by the waves. I'm not doing that individual figure thing.
Yeah.
I just buy it by the whole wave. And I might just dump some of the extras. And that's just because I'm trying to streamline and figure out how I'm going to actually start setting up everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're putting out so much. Like, it's like, if you think about it, we're about to have 16 Thundercat figures because Wave 2 is supposedly hitting in the next week or two because it's already in the warehouse here in America.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 17 because I also have the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Mumra Glow in the Dark one. So it's 17 freaking Thundercats out of nowhere.
And you better have the Thunder Tank on order.
That's a lot.
No.
Why not?
No, I'm not doing the
Why not? It looks so good.
Because I like the fact that my wife lets me touch her lady bits, and she said she'd divorce me, so I'm not going to do any of that. So
it's still what I find crazy. It's still available. Like it's still available for pre-order. Like they didn't run out.
It's $500, and it's the size of a mid-sized child. It's not small at all.
Mid-sized child.
It's freaking massive.
I actually thought about it.
I was joking with my kids about that. Like, I was showing them the Fans Toys Fort Max,
Yeah.
like the mock-up that they showed and how big it would have to be and all that stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh my god, how big is that?" And I'm like,
40 something inches.
No, it came out to like 38 or 39, some crap like that. I think they have it as
somewhere in there.
It's close to that.
Yeah.
40.
And I went to my youngest. He's 10, and I measured him, and I said, top of his head would be about the bottom of your chin. So you would have to move out if I got this whole thing.
No, just get a bunk bed. Just get bunk bed. He can have top bunk.
I had the bunk bed thing when they were younger. We got rid of, just got them individual beds.
Well, that's because you didn't know you were going to have to buy another robotic child.
Well, I'm not going to. That's where I'm getting to with it. Like,
it's only going to be $1,500.
That's not the part that bothers me, dude. No. If you like it, price is negligible.
Yeah.
Because you'll work to make it happen.
True.
Like I'm mad at myself, and I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna end up getting the Unicron on secondary market not because I purposely ignored it, but when Unicron was being announced in Kickstarters, I didn't know about Kickstarters. Like, I had just really gotten into that side of collecting.
Yeah.
Didn't know about Kickstarters, and I was full on neck deep into 3P. So if you said Hasbro, Takara, or Mainline, I immediately just ignored everything else that came out of your mouth. So 50 people could have told me about this Unicron. I would have just ignored it because they said the magic words that would have made me ignore them.
Yeah.
So now I'm kicking myself in the ass because I didn't pay attention. Because a lot of people are like, oh, $600 too much. No, it's not. I've paid more than that for a singular Dinobot. So no, it's really not. Because I wanted that Dinobot. And now I want that Unicron because it's going to be the best we'll have probably for a long time. And if anybody ever tries to scale it up into a masterpiece level, we're going to be talking that Fort Max conversation again, and I won't get it. So I'll end up paying secondary market for
the Island of Manhattan kind of thing if it's coming to
yeah.
Yeah. And that's if they go with, like, what is it, the season 4 where Unicron was stepping down on planet services like he wasn't a planet himself or whatever that was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? I got the question a long time ago whenever I was doing the Planet X Apocalypse review. And people were asking me, it's like, okay, so what's the scale for this? And I'm like, okay, well, let me think about this. So if we say the Planet X figures are yay big, and the aerial bots are flying around inside of Apocalypse or Trypticon in satellite mode, let's see, he would have to be roughly the size of my apartment complex to actually be somewhat usable.
Scaled correctly.
And I'm like, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you somehow think that CityBot size creatures are only going to be the size of your child if they properly scaled?
Yeah. My favorite argument, not argument, but my assholey response to people who bring up scale and argue about it. They're like, oh, that's, it's a city bot. It's supposed to be the size of a city, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So let me see you go sit down inside your Sideswipe and take a picture of it and send it to me. Because if you can't sit in it, it's not 1-to-1 scale. So therefore it's not right.
Exactly. And like,
well, that's not the same thing.
Even the Fans Toys Fortress Maximus is not even to scale. Let's put it that way.
No,
okay?
But if anything, he's close to, he's legend scale. If anything.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Fortress Maximus is 3 times bigger than Metroplex.
And they usually don't show them that size.
And Metroplex is a city that the Autobots drive down his streets like a regular city.
Exactly.
Yeah. Except his scale changes within the show all the damn time too. That's the problem.
Well,
like, I think the problem was they called him a city when they should have just called him a base. It's like, because really Metroplex is a base, not a city in the same way.
It depends on what you look at. In the comics, he was a city.
Yeah.
Yeah, city human-sized.
Yeah.
Right?
Not Autobot city-sized.
Autobot Transformer-sized.
Yeah, I mean, it was all whatever size they needed it to be, because you got to think about it. Whenever they had those several episodes where Metroplex is fighting Trypticon, you got to think how large these things technically would be, and they're fighting on Earth's surface in just the mountainous area. It's like, oh, you're full of shit.
One of them, they were fighting by like the Golden Gate Bridge or some crap like that. Wasn't that one of them?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hold on.
Or like when First Aid decides to leave, but he has to go back because Swindle stole
the armless defense sword.
Yeah,
exactly.
And he enters like right beside his head, and he's like, like really super small.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can get that, right? But then again, you're liable to make mistakes when you only got like 3 months from script to finished episode.
Yeah, they
Plus,
basically
it's
made
all
them.
about imagination.
Exactly.
It is. But they made them like to be kaiju, but that's not what they were. You're talking about, the Transformers in general were massive. In comparison, what Optimus is, like 40 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
And to compare to a human, it's like, okay, so it's a city that's made for them, which means it's going to be 4 to 6 times
Massively
the size
bigger.
of our cities, assuming they need the same amount of space. But we also know that Cybertronians love to waste space. Look how high the fucking arc ceilings are for no reason. It's like nobody's that tall until you get like Jetfire.
I got an echo again.
I know, I'm hearing it.
Huh.
I don't know where exactly it's coming from, but I'm backing off on the mic just in case it's me. It happens. There's almost.
But yeah, you're talking about the arcs and how big they waste their space and stuff. So adding all that into it, you're now talking about a city being the size of a state.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Plus, I mean, if you think about it, in the beginning of season 3, Trypticon demolishes the entire mountain that the Ark was in.
Yeah, he destroys the volcano.
Right? And I mean, and again, in another fight between Metroplex and Trypticon basically rips a mountain from its base and throws it at Trypticon.
Yes.
Right?
So sometimes they did it right.
Huge.
But yeah, scale always cracks me when people talk about it. Now, some of your listeners might know of them or heard of them. Some of you haven't. But Robert D, he has a thing where he takes like the big guys, like the Omega Supremes and all that, and he puts legend scales next.
Yeah, that's what I got going on too.
And as close as you're going to get.
Hold on, you were roboting out there for a second, Ricky.
Am I better now?
Yeah, but like halfway through what you were saying, it was like,
All right,
crazy.
so I don't know where it left off at, but Robert D does a setup where he has legend scales figures with the big combiners and stuff like that. And if you're that guy whose scale matters, Optimus should be the size of Omega Supreme's foot. Then you're not going to have a masterpiece set up like that because it's not going to work. You have to have the legends, and even that's going to be a little too big, but it's going to be closer.
Yeah, that's why I liked DX9 Gabriel, because it was almost made to scale with their legends, which means they're close enough to the new age. But I mean, obviously,
Huh? No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say,
obviously
I haven't fighting Scorponok, and obviously Scorponok's too small for that, technically speaking. But I think they look good together. Because I don't want.
But like, if you really want like a scale, like let's say with that Omega Supreme, that's the Gabriel you're talking about right there.
Yeah.
I put like the core class Optimus next to that thing. That's going to be in scale. That'll be scaled correctly.
Well, I mean,
who wants that setup? Who wants that?
Where's my Optimus? Oh, he's way over there.
I don't.
I was gonna say the core class is roughly legend scale, so I mean that makes sense.
They're a little bit smaller because I have, like, you know how I am about Soundwave. I have the core Soundwave, and he's about half the size of a New Age Soundwave.
No, okay, that's weird.
So they would be closer in scale if you're using a masterpiece combiner and a core class figure. But who cares about all that crap? I want something that looks cool.
This is true.
The rest, it's supposed to be your imagination anyways. We're talking about fucking cars that turn into sentient fucking beings.
No. We're talking about sentient fucking beings that turn into cars.
That can turn into cars.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Because they gained the ability to transform, but they always were giant talking robots.
I got you. You're right. I'm wrong. Yeah. Okay. But what I'm saying is, what are we talking about here? You're talking about a scale. Who gives a shit? Again, we're talking about sentient robots that can transform.
Yes.
I just want them to look cool. I like engineering aspects of them. I like the tune stuff, the more tune accurate stuff, but it's not a prerequisite for me. I have stuff that is very not tuned. I have stuff that looks more like the toy stuff. I have stuff that looks like somebody's their own version of it, and I'm good with that too. To me, it goes figure to figure. If it's the figure I like, but I want it to look tuned, I will buy some toy hack stickers and put them on there.
Yeah, you know where scale matters more. If we're getting way off Transformers. Action figures is honestly where scale matters way more. especially when it's
Fuck McFarlane. Sorry.
there you go.
I had to choke for a second there. Sorry.
Because it's nice when certain companies all stay within the same scale, like 1/12 or 1/18, and then you get the other companies who say, "Oh, hey, we're just going to make it 7-inch scale."
Mm-hmm.
Fuck
So that
you.
now your Robin that you've been waiting 20 years for doesn't match the Batman that you've had for the last 15 years.
Nobody owns Robin and
Fucking
Batman
assholes.
shit. Nobody owns
I
Batman
do.
and Robin shit. That's fine.
I do.
All right.
I own a bunch of it.
So,
but yeah,
I know
talking about scale and stuff, I can help lead you to something if you want me to. I got you a good setup.
No, we're good.
So, watched the show this week.
Did you?
And they finally, I like this going. I watched the Halo episode 1.
Okay.
And they actually, to me, they got the scaling proper with the Spartans being taller than a human, and then with the Covenant being even taller than that.
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah. So they did a good job. So I did do that this week in my Nerd Week. I watched the first episode.
You can't say Nerd Week. Can't say Nerd Week here. It's copywritten.
I can say whatever I want to. Nerd Week, Nerd Week, Nerd Week. Sue me, Bobby.
No, he can't sue you. It's our show.
Okay. Sue SHOKY, Bobby.
Fuck. I'm gonna edit this out.
Hey, boss, remember
it never
that
happened.
Christmas bonus? Just put it into getting SHOKY, man.
Bonus.
So I'm a nerd, and during this past week, some of the nerd stuff that I've done.
I am just a hired underling, and therefore should not be sued.
You're not hired. No one's paying you.
I am just a volunteering nerd, and no.
That summer sausage basket was a gift. That wasn't payment, man.
That's right. That was the payback. That was
okay.
The
so I did.
So Mike.
So I watched Halo.
So Mike also watched Halo. So I do, because I have not seen it. I don't have Paramount or access to it, and I don't feel like torrenting it. I do want y'all's opinion on it, because we've talked about it ahead of time before it came out. We were talking about the negative reviews of the previews, so to speak, the guys who got to watch it early. And so between you guys, I know Rikki, you're a big Halo fan because we've talked about it. Mike, I don't know how much you actually know about Halo as a game series or
enough.
Okay, so
not a whole not a whole whack. But
before we start firing, is this spoiler free?
This is about be cautious, because it is a current. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. If it matters to you, because Mike's one episode ahead of you, then that's important. But I mean, it's not like you're on episode 6 and everyone else is on episode 1.
No, exactly, because I watched.
I knew everything about this first episode before I even watched it.
Yeah. So I mean, just
because I asked other Halo fans how they felt about it.
We'll give the spoiler warning. You got 99, 98.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I can't say Nerd Week.
I can do a countdown. Either way, so if you don't want to be spoiled on it, just skip ahead. It'll be fine.
We'll give you a timestamp.
Exactly, there'll be a timestamp. Avoid spoilers here.
All right, Shoki. Yeah, from here to here. Skip this part.
Exactly.
But
so you guys talk about it as you go.
The spoiler parts. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna break down like I did Batman. As a sci-fi action show, it was a 6, and only because it in the first episode, for some reason, they blew all the action literally in the very first 10 minutes and like the last 2 minutes. Everything in between was like all the political stuff, like the intrigue and the military upper echelon talking to people and stuff. So it was very the middle part, while interesting to somebody who is big into that kind of stuff, would be very boring to somebody who thought they were sitting down to watch an action show. So I give it a 6.5. As a Halo story, it started out strong. Like that opening, they had me. That opening, like, it was good. And when they got into the political stuff and the military industrial complex stuff, I was like, still interesting, because you don't really get that from the games. It's not ever really talked about. You know it exists. It's just kind of background noise. But then they did something that I won't get into until we get to the spoiler part of it, that from a Halo gameplay fan And when I say I'm a fan, I mean I have every game across multiple systems. I've upgraded it every time. I have the whole series of books. Like, I'm a Halo fan.
Yeah.
They did something that has never been done in any previous Halo canon. With it's mentioned but not really driven home, if that makes any kind of sense.
Okay.
And although they did it in this show, they explained it in such a way that it made sense, but I still don't agree with it. If that makes any kind of sense.
Which is what? What did they do?
We're not at the spoiler part yet because Mike hasn't talked yet. Or do you want me to just jump into it?
It's fine. If people wanted to hear any of this, they can. It's spoiled. So.
Okay. Well,
and more likely by now, seeing how the second episode is out.
You already know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay, so I'm about to drop a spoiler. So if you haven't listened, now's the part to jump on.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is where you shut your ears and go la 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 la.
Yeah.
He takes his helmet off and just for the rest of the show does not have his helmet on. And
how do you feel
they
about
explained
it,
in the show. It makes sense. Okay, like I said, if I'm looking at it as a Halo fan of all the franchises that I've been into for 20 years, I'm not okay with it.
Nope.
Because it removes the capability to make yourself Master Chief, which is how the whole entire gaming system has been set up. You're supposed to be fully immersed to the point where you picture yourself as a Spartan in the game.
It takes away that mystique.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now they have done it. They've done it in like cutscenes from like behind, where you've seen the back of his head.
Yeah.
They've done it in cutscenes where you see him when he's younger. They've done it in cutscenes where you've seen him as like a preteen, maybe, or late teens, early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a Master Chief that has been at war for years. So this would be like
decades now. Yeah.
Okay, so Reach hasn't fallen yet because they still talk about the base being on Reach. So we're not quite at that level of Halo, but we're like right before it is what it seems like. See, and so he's been around for a while. They've been doing their thing.
Yeah. Well, part of me, so, I do have a question though. And Mike, maybe you can answer this a little bit. Well, maybe not because you're only in episode 2. Because we discussed that possibly this planet they're on was going to be a fill-in for what happened on Reach. But if they're talking about Reach, then that's not going to be a thing. Okay.
No. Because this planet that they're on, they talk about it. This is not a new planet. Midgral or however they say it, that's mentioned in the games and in the book series and stuff. And Reach is flat out talked about. They say that's where their military home base is.
Yeah, that's where the base is.
Yeah.
So
it's its own thing. But they did that. They did the helmet thing, and I get it. They explained it away as in he was trying to do something that was going against his programming, and the helmet keeps him directly connected to the military's computers. And I mean, they can literally control everything, dude. They turned his oxygen off to try to make him pass out. You know, like they control everything through that helmet. So he took his helmet off so that they couldn't do that kind of stuff to him anymore. So it makes sense.
That's something we've never seen.
He was trying to do. Yeah, he was trying to do something against their wishes, and they were trying to shut it down.
And that's Oni. And that's Oni. I'm thinking because they're the ones who are usually.
They haven't got their Oni yet. They're still just talking about UNSC.
Okay, so just talking about normal command. They're not bringing in Oni.
Yeah. No, well, technically Oni's around because Halsey's a big character. She's like one of the main characters.
No, I just meant that they're not like active, so to speak.
No,
not like they were.
Not yet. They haven't been.
Yeah,
they haven't been blatantly pointed out yet.
Okay.
And then so they did that, and then the one thing that Halo fan or a huge Halo fan or just a passive Halo fan, the one thing I did not like that they did, they made the Spartans a military-controlled hit squad.
Yeah.
They flat
I was gonna say explain.
Like they have a whole conversation with one of the human characters that he's interacting with about how she saw him go in and murder her entire contingent. They called him surviving immediate. He tries to explain it away as in, you don't know what was really going on from the upper echelon. They told us that this way into mob time before it started.
Yeah.
And she's like, there were a bunch of ladies and children sitting around talking about how they didn't appreciate your bosses trying to tell them what to do. So I mean, they made him a hit squad. Like, they talk about how the Spartans were sent around to do that in multiple areas.
I mean,
that essentially they made them sound like stormtroopers.
Well, that's what they were, though. That was the original purpose of the Spartan program. That's what they were.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they was.
The Spartans. the Spartans were not there to kill humans.
No, they weren't there to. The original purpose of the Spartan program was actually to quell insurrectionists on other planets. They weren't made to fight aliens.
Yes.
They were there to keep other
Yes.
humans in check because there was a lot of people, especially in the outer planets, who didn't agree with what the core, so to speak, was doing. And so they sent the Spartans.
But they weren't sent in and told to.
I assumed that there were some that probably were. They were special force, like send them in as like a spear point type of deal. Versus,
I get you, but it's never been blatantly talked. How about that? It's never been blatantly talked about, and it seemed very out of place in this.
I think. Well, because also, have you played Halo Wars?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you just played the mainline games or not. So in Halo Wars
and Halo Wars 2.
Yeah. So I mean, like they were originally, the reason they were on Harvest was because there was an insurrection happening on Harvest. That's why that team, the Spartans and everybody was there. They were there to help corral that, and the Covenant happened to show up. They
were there to fight armed militants, which is what they started out. This show started out with them fighting armed militants. That's not my problem.
No, I understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, though.
They changed it to, oh well, while you're here, scorched earth tactics, kill all these people just to stop it from happening.
I would argue that at least we had never seen them do it, but I wouldn't argue that it was ever beyond the pale that they would do it. Because they were very robotic back then. They weren't. They weren't.
And this makes it even more so, dude.
Oh, I get, and adding in the concept of how their suits are technically controlled to keep them in line was never something we saw before. Like, we'll shut you down otherwise. We see them doing the opposite. We see them helping them out through their suit, not hurting them through their suit. So that's an interesting concept in itself.
So I mean, it's a different perspective of it, but again, like you said, it's there if we had thought about it. If they're able to give you oxygen with your suit, that also means they're able to take away said oxygen with that suit, or just turn off your capability to get oxygen.
They just turn off the suit in general. They just turn the suit off,
which is kind of what happens. Yeah, and that's why. So that's why I'm saying that explanation for that part made sense. Not a fan of it, but it made sense.
Yeah.
But the other one, I didn't like that one at all, because it if they had made it, Spartans had done it, and the lady was like, "Look, I know Spartans kill people because this, and this happened, or I saw it with my own eyes." That I would have swallowed a little better than she flat out looked, John 1:17 right now, and said, "I saw you. You were there. You killed them." So now it makes Master Chief the killer, not just a military member you play as.
Makes
so
sense.
that I didn't like at all. That was my big, oh no, that was my hardest pill to swallow. Everybody else has a bigger problem with the helmet thing. I don't like the helmet coming off, but that ain't the part that broke that for me. It was that making Master Chief a murderer makes it a problem for me.
Yeah, give me just a second and we'll continue. I just realized what was going on. It's doing a background scan.
Are you doing another virus scan?
I'm not doing it. It's doing it. It's set on automatic.
Get in there and
it just doesn't seem to care.
That time.
Blame the computer.
Well, it's meant to do it when it's inactive, not, when we're doing shit. But then again, it may have been started before we got going. So let's give it a second.
And I haven't seen episode 2 yet.
Okay, so
they might change something, but another thing they did in this is Cortana. And they haven't shown her. They just kind of mention it in passing, but imply heavily that this full-size adult clone of Dr. Halsey that you see is Cortana.
You are correct.
No, fuck me, Mike. I had hope that wasn't going to be what happened.
You are correct.
So wait, Cortana's not an AI. She's a clone.
She's a clone of Halsey, full grown. The only difference is she's bald headed.
She
doesn't have hair.
Who is Cortana?
In the show?
Are you asking a question or making a statement?
Yeah.
I didn't know how you said that.
So, I don't know. See, if I say anything, I don't want to spoil episode 2 for you.
He's still gonna watch it. No, I don't care,
dude. I knew almost everything I said about Halo 1, about the episode 1 that I didn't like. I knew everything except for him being a murderer part. They forgot to tell me that part.
So, yes, my week has gone well. So
yeah, we'll just roll into Mike's week since we're here
to catch up.
2 weeks technically.
So yeah, this week I finally got my black Xeric, so I am extremely happy. After what, waiting a year and a half or something like that to come out. It's just been
Yeah.
delayed by ages 3 and up like so many times, and I was just getting really antsy about, well, crap, everybody else is like getting theirs. How come I'm not getting mine? And I was so close to just canceling the pre-order and getting it
Aren't
somewhere
you
else.
glad you didn't?
Oh God, yeah. So now the only thing I need is my black Rochi to go along with it, and that'll be
What is
complete.
what is that?
The guard minder. Yeah, the little rover tank dude that came originally with
Oh,
Scorponok, Black Zarek.
okay. It's his
Yeah,
little.
yeah, yeah,
It's his other. Okay, everybody. All of the city bots have one. So okay, yeah. I
yeah.
just didn't know his name.
So waiting for that to come in. So waiting for the gold one to come in.
Coolness.
So I'll be happy with that. And I essentially got me a free Fans Toys rig.
Nice.
So
That's actually a pretty decent transformer, man.
it
That's,
is. It is so nice. It's got a nice weight to it, right? I am not complaining whatsoever. And it's fairly easy to transform, so I'm actually quite impressed. I'm going to be selling my Bad Cube version. Um, yeah, I like this. I really, really like this. I was almost
the
debating
mass
about
shift on the
maybe,
cab is pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I'm so glad that this is going to be replacing my Bad Cube version. It's nice and toy accurate, character accurate, I should say. So
I was gonna say, there you go.
yeah, I'm impressed with him. And all I had to do was send off my broken Hound, Masterpiece Hound, to somebody else because it had the broken tailgate bit
Mhm.
that a lot of
Oh,
people
that's right.
have
Yeah.
broken on theirs. Yeah, send it to somebody else, and yeah, I got that as a thank you. So happy.
Was that like pre talked about? Like he told you, hey, you give me that, I'll give you this, or that was just a surprise thing?
It was pretty much a surprise thing. It's like, yeah, if you can send this to me, I'll send you a Fans Toys rig if you don't have it. I'm like, yeah.
Nice,
So yeah,
That's
I'm not
pretty
going to
cool.
complain about that.
I wouldn't either.
nice.
No, let's see what else. I think that's pretty much it for this week.
That,
So,
that's all you got. Other than the fact you watched Halo.
yeah, other than the fact I watch Halo and keeping up with P Hard. Oh God, that show is just.
He's referring to
Going
Picard.
off the rails.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Picard, even though I already did just now. It's P Hard. Because, yeah, that show is just an abomination. So,
Is it that bad? I've never watched it, but I was scared to.
it's so bad. It is so bad.
I once again don't have Paramount, so I can't watch any of these things.
Yeah, well, that's what other sources are for.
Yeah.
Not that
Arr.
anything illegal. Yeah, exactly. So, um, yeah. Other than that, yeah, I'm mixed on Halo because I know you guys pretty much know way more than I do. With the games and the books and the other movies and whatnot. And I know that this is supposed to be a whole separate universe.
Mm-hmm.
Out of a 10, I would give this maybe a 5, maybe a 6 at most.
Right. So wait, hold on, Ricky. You were shaking your head. You saying it's not meant to be a separate universe?
Oh, it's not a separate universe. This is that. This is just their rendition of it.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying they're things we've never seen before, or adding their own things.
No,
I don't think it's canon though. I don't really.
it's I think it is supposed to be canon because like a whole Reach thing, and they haven't started glassing planets. That makes it a post Forerunner story, but pre Halo mainline story.
Okay, but well,
This is 1, 2, and 3. If the names are 4, 5, and 6.
well, what I was getting at is that if they hadn't glassed yet as much, or they haven't refuted, this Reach wasn't the first one they glassed, is it?
No, there was Harvest. I think was the first.
They at
planet that
least
was
glassed Harvest, so I mean, Harvest has happened, so they've begun on that front, but for some reason, they're still being used. This way?
Not in this game. I mean, not in this show. They just like they're hinting at the scene Covenant a couple times, but even like
Oh, wait a
while
minute, that's
fighting
right.
them,
Because in
they
Halo
made it seem
Wars,
like it's still pretty.
well, yeah, because they didn't get the message off about the Covenant at Harvest, if I remember correctly. That
Nope, not
ship,
until after Reach.
yeah, because whoa, what just happened?
It was after Reach they got into the slipstreams and stuff like that. They were able to make that their ships be able to do slipstreams, and that's when they started actively fighting and chasing the Covenant.
All right, I still had the audio there, but for some reason something went wonky. I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything. It just went weird.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I thought there were since both were just blatantly bad. Like
And then sometimes they were top shelf. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How are they both on
Yeah.
the same shelf?
Exactly. Like there's one particular scene where a gun is slid over to who was it? Was it Master Chief? I'm trying to remember now. And it just looks so animated. It was like pretty much like late 80s game animation. It looked so bad. And then
Talking about when the lady slid it to him on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there were just some scenes with the government covenant.
The
government.
government.
The government.
The government.
The alien government.
It was government that came
Yeah.
to take all your rations away. Anyway,
Sometimes they looked really good, and sometimes they look like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Bad.
yeah, it was like just
rough.
it was like this kind of animation belongs in a game.
All right, so
And,
hold
and
on.
not a game of now, but a
No.
game like 20
Yeah.
years ago.
I do have a question for
right?
Rikki though. Do the Covenant
Go
in this
for it.
show look worse than the Covenant did in Halo 4? Halo 4 was when they did the really bad job. That was 343's first mainline game.
I would say, looking at the sometimes when they look good, sometimes they look bad. Think Covenant from the original Halo versus Covenant in Infinite. Like the difference how they look between those two.
Now they look the same.
It'll be like that in this show from scene to scene. Like one time they'll look like Halo 1, and one time they'll
So
look like
they're
Infinite.
like they're very polygony at some point, and then other times they're high res.
Mhm.
That's so
Yeah.
stupid.
And,
How do they
and,
do
and
that?
ironically enough, it's when they're further away is when they looked worse. Like when they were off in the distance, like up on the walls and Battle
Yeah,
they
big
looked
time.
like you could have sworn you could see the green screen behind them, and it was just some actors. It was trash. Like when they're in the distance, but when they're up close, they really worked on them.
So we're really seeing that $10 million an episode, right?
Oh,
Seeing all the
God, they
dollars
should
on
have
the
spent
screen.
more. Or just found better animators. It was bad.
I have a feeling.
And then on top of that,
it
yeah,
was
to
rushed.
make the Spartans look like a bunch of stormtrooping Nazis that yes, that's right. I saw them. I saw the Spartans and they were just wiping out just people everywhere. You have no idea what I was watching there. Like the Scottish guy just droning.
Oh, there was
on it.
legitimately a
Just
Scottish.
You have no idea.
He literally sounds just like that.
Yeah,
like,
pretty
like
much.
horrifically bad Scottish.
Yeah,
Like he sounded like William Wallace. Like, it was rough.
pretty much.
That's pretty bad.
But yeah, so they what was it? They go track down the Covenant, and look, there's an opening in the side of this mountain, and we must go in. They possibly went in. Oh, look, an artifact thingy. I think I will go ahead instead of investigating and possibly maybe scanning it to see what it does. I'm going to touch it.
Always touch it
look,
first.
I'm wigging out with flashbacks. Yes.
Okay,
I
so
must bring it back to Reach.
so so question about that, Rikki. How do you feel about this whole concept?
It's a Forerunner artifact.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, but I'm saying like
This basically causes him to take off his helmet. Besides high command, cutting off oxygen and monitoring and blah blah blah.
so is this why his helmet's off like most of episode 2 then?
What this
Because
does
he has
is
feelings now.
well,
feeling
supposedly the visions that he's seeing are actually his own memories.
Yeah,
because
That's what they said. That his memories have been blocked.
Halsey said
he's
they
remembering.
blocked their memories, but then this thing unlocked something so that he's actually seeing his own memories again, and it makes him have feelings and feel more human. So therefore, he wants to help the people he's supposed to be fighting.
Yeah,
and that's how it all goes. And then for some reason, also I forgot to mention this: they made Keyes and Miranda black for some reason in the show.
Yeah,
which
I brought that
have
up.
a problem
They
with.
did a bit of
But
race and gender swapping, I think.
They did a little.
And they made Miranda the daughter of Keyes and Halsey.
No, that's canon. That's actually canon.
Not.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's from the books. It is. It was.
I don't remember
actually,
that.
It's in the books. I've read about it because I wanted to know because, I think because Sean said that he had watched it and he had no idea who Miranda was, character wise, and then of course Commander Keyes is important, or Captain Keyes, whichever, and he's now
he's captain in 3 and commander in 4 or some crap like that.
Yeah, he gets upgraded. We don't have Lord Hood just yet, but I don't think they're going to use Ron Perlman for that.
But yeah, the thing is, you really get this is a more or less a Mandalorian ripoff.
That's what all the reviews said. It's very Mandalorian.
Because once you get into episode 2,
so wait, we got the MacGuffin now, right?
So we got the MacGuffin because she's the only one left out of the entire slaughter, right? Of
that one, she's not the MacGuffin.
town.
She's the baby Yoda.
Well,
the
she's the baby Yoda. She's kind of a MacGuffin in a way, right?
Well, I was gonna say
in this kind of case.
Well, I was gonna say Baby Yoda was the MacGuffin.
Right.
Yeah, the artifact is the MacGuffin. She's more of the
tag along.
Side.
She's the
tag
cub.
along.
She's the cub.
Yep.
She's the cub. She's the baby Yoda. So it's basically in episode 2, I gotta find out where I can basically ditch you, which, as we know, obviously will not work out that way because story needs to advance somehow. Besides the artifact, it's basically, I'm gonna look up an old friend of mine and swear to me that you're going to protect her, that you're gonna look after her. Yeah, I swear, man, it's all good, bro.
Swear to me.
Is it Johnson? Does he go find Johnson?
Apparently this other Spartan that left years ago during their training in episode 2, right? So there was a Spartan, right now I can't remember exactly what his name was, but he wanted to go out of there because, look, man, they're doing stuff to us. Like he's holding up his arm, which looks all butchered and whatnot. They're screwing with our minds, right? If you can't think for yourself, then that's control. So I'm out of here, right? And so John, our Spartan, our Master Chief, is like, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, right? Because we're bros. So he takes off. Catch up many years later, and he just happens to know where he lives. Don't know how, but he's living the dream on an asteroid somewhere off in space as a space pirate.
Of course, that's what you do.
Bless America.
You leave the military and become a space pirate. It's usually what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's married and has a kid. Because that's a safe environment.
They stole that from Clone Wars. Yeah. That's the clone in the Twi'lek.
Yeah,
true.
So
that's very true.
It's like let's go see a crazy person to see about this whole artifact thing, and so they meet Crazy Guy, and Crazy Guy totally who's been taken by the Covenant and managed to escape, knows exactly what it's all about because he's Crazy Guy. So
it's a wild and crazy.
So this isn't Johnson. I'm okay with this so far. I don't want them to ruin Johnson.
Yeah, I gotta see. I don't know if he's in it. I haven't looked at the cast.
I honestly forget what
timeline wise he'd still be in it.
It depends on where he's at. Yeah.
Did you play Halo at all, Mike?
You know what? I played the first Halo game. I won't lie. I tried to play the second one, but I never got it to run on Vista.
Oh, good God! Yeah.
Windows Vista was just so bad. And
did you ever play 3?
Yeah, I played a little bit of 3, and because family.
Johnson's
life, right? I never really caught up with him much.
Johnson's the Black Marine with the
military
cigar.
guy.
Yeah.
So
he's
I
at the
don't
beginning.
want him to mess him up because he's very important in the books. Like he has even more story in the books.
Yeah, because he continues on into Ghosts of Onyx as well. Right, he's the one who finds
He dies at the end of 3.
Huh? No, I'm talking about in the books though.
Oh yeah. because those are prequels and stuff.
Yeah.
Let me
No,
see.
spoilers for those who haven't played Halo 3 that he dies.
Dude, that game's almost 20 years old. They can suck it.
There are still people who've never played it, or the Master Chief Collection. It wasn't
We're giving a
redone.
spoiler alert. We're giving a spoiler alert for
Old ass video games.
a show that just came out last week, not for a game that came out 20 years ago.
So,
Exactly.
because I'm basically guessing that by now most people have seen episode 2 anyway, and it's not really that much of a spoiler. So
True that.
I heard he spends the whole show with no helmet on.
yeah, he does. The whole episode essentially is him without the helmet on, right?
Jesus
So
Christ.
to me, it's like, because I'm used to, from playing the first game, and like I said, I'm not up on it like you guys are, where you've gone through all the games and whatnot. But as far as I know, he doesn't leave the armor. Period. He leaves
Very
everything
rarely.
on, right?
Basically, to swap
So
it
therefore,
out. That's
he
it.
should still have his helmet on. It should never come off.
Yeah, we had that discussion on the last episode.
Yeah, exactly. So midway
He has like a black
through
he has
episode
like a
1
black
and episode
undersuit.
2, he's entirely helmetless, right?
Like-
for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it, like I said before, it loses all its mystique, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the effect is not there anymore.
Because as I discussed before, it's like part of it is like you don't need to see Chief's face because he represents something in the same way like a superhero behind the mask does. It's like the man under the mask actually isn't as important.
You don't need to see Chief's face because you're supposed to be Chief. It's the suspension
That's true.
of disbelief.
Yeah. I wasn't
You're
going to
that
argue against
person in
that.
that armor.
Well,
Yeah.
precisely.
Yeah, but the one thing that I think they really dropped the ball on is when he does have the helmet on, they did not even use the voice actor from the game to do his voice.
I've been
It's just
arguing
the
that.
actor.
I've been arguing that exact point. Steve Downs could have done that.
So the other 3 Spartans, they're out hunting for him, right? Because he manages to take
Not
off.
really though.
Well, no, not really. But they're hunting him down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so John leaves Soren on on the leaves Quan with Soren on the asteroid. And activates his locator for the other Spartans to basically find him. And and so
Go figure. Master Chief being hunted by Spartans. That never happens.
Is ready to wake up her little clone, which is Cortana. And apparently she is supposed to be this clone, or whatever she's supposed to be, is supposed to be a new step in human evolution, where essentially this AI can basically be the general, quote unquote, in the Spartans' heads, so they don't have this quote unquote malfunction like what Master Chief is experiencing. Right,
it's called the Cortana Protocol. That's what they called it in the first one. It's the Cortana Protocol.
So guaranteed between, let's say, between episode 3 and however many episodes this is going to be, I'm assuming that this super clone is going to make herself an AI, which eventually becomes the Cortana that everybody knows, I guess.
Who knows? Like that's clearly that's all new.
Oh, and then of course the Covenant found out about the artifact, and there's some some human girl that's living among them.
That's the one I forgot to tell you about too. They have a girl that's helping the Covenant. Humans,
which makes no sense.
She wants to go out and find and retrieve this artifact.
See, that part makes no sense because the Covenant had no fucking clue what humans were until they ran into them. Yet now we're supposed to believe that they had a human amongst them for God knows how long.
And this is a complete,
perfectly
and not just
language,
among them.
knows their culture, knows their religion, blah blah blah.
Not just among them. She's with the big boss,
she's with
Mercy or
whatever
his name is.
Prophet of Mercy.
Yeah, the big head honchos.
Yeah, the prophets.
Yeah, and she was raised by them and has been with them for forever.
Yeah,
and they're already hinting at that she has some kind of relation with Master Chief. So I'm betting a sister. I will bet right now, good hard-earned money, that's gonna be his sister.
Yeah,
And they were both kidnapped as children. One became a Spartan, and one became a Covenant. And then they're gonna have to fight against each other, and remember that the power of love and family overcomes all. And
that's right. That's right. What one? I betcha. They'll live on some sort of, I don't know, some sort of planet that I'm sure is probably mentioned in canon somewhere. that the parents died and the children were separated somehow, and one went to the Covenant, which would be this girl, and the other one was taken by, essentially the Space Marines. Let's put it that way. And
the true story of what happens is more fucked up, because what they did is they'd go in and they would kidnap the kids.
They just kidnap the kids.
And they'd leave a perfect clone of the kid behind. But in that clone, they'd leave it an aggressive form of cancer, so that the clone would die within a couple of years, and the parents would have to bury their kid and never think about it again.
Yeah,
like, what's the point of even doing that? Just make a clone of the kid, right?
Super fucked
without the cancer, and make it the Spartan. Duh.
Because clones break down over
clones
time.
Were always they were always temporary.
So then grow another one.
No,
whatever.
No, the point was
super fucked
up. I didn't make up the story.
No,
I didn't make up
the point was they wanted to steal the actual kid and leave one that would die, so nobody would bother asking questions and go looking for anything. And the kids basically are taken young enough that their memories don't really matter.
Well, you think being like, the super high-tech future,
like,
some sort of genetic marker would have been found that, hey, this isn't really real.
Yeah, but they don't bother with that because you gotta think that these guys basically run all of the things.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
He's like, when I talked about it, I didn't talk about it. Yeah, I didn't talk about it in detail last time, but I told you, it's like the Spartan program was very fucked up. It's not what it became by Halo 4, Halo 5, where we got Spartan 4, Spartan 5s, where they're volunteers who have been upgraded, not kids who have been genetically modified and physically modified to do all this other shit. It's like, that's why modern Spartans aren't massively taller than everyone, but the Spartan 2s are massive comparatively. Spartan 3s are a little bit bigger, but not that much.
But I gotta say that the guy they chose to play John, he looks like
him.
Yeah, he you know what? He almost, and this is no insult whatsoever, he looks like a discount Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's Lev Schreiber's brother.
Yeah,
the guy who played Sabretooth in Wolverine Origins. That's his brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Huh. And he was in. Did you ever watch The Wire?
No.
The TV show The Wire. They did one season where they're on the docks down there. He was the main character that season.
Oh, okay.
Hey, slight good news.
Don't get me wrong. He plays it, pretty good.
Yeah, slight good news, guys. I finally got the stupid scan to actually stop.
Nice.
Yeah.
So now we got to start all over again. Go back to the beginning of my week.
No,
my week where I'm a nerd.
No, it's been recording, but it'll be less laggy on my end.
No, well, good enough.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So you guys have been slightly laggy, but the audio has been fine.
So yeah, it's essentially the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda.
It's the same
but
shit
with
we've
the
been
added
given.
With the added bonus that there's an artifact, right?
Well, you can't like I understand what you're saying, and because it's so fresh because the Mandalorian, but you can't really say it with that much negativity that it's like the Mandalorian, because what is the thing in literature where they said there's only like 6 different kinds of stories?
Yeah, it's only like 9 stories overall.
Yeah,
and they're just all different variants of the same thing. Well, this is the same thing. It's just we're so close on the tail of Mandalorian, and it's presented a sci-fi story. So I mean, it's like it's checking all the same boxes. It's not like it's a Western now, and then in a year they do a Halo where you've had that gap between sci-fi and sci-fi. It's just back to back to back to back.
No, exactly.
True,
yeah,
true,
I totally understand that. It's just that, I should say it's unfortunate that I'm getting the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think the delay
where both are sci-fi, and you both and each story you both have a tag along. Yeah. And it's been that way, but it's been that way for a long time though. Like a lot of heroes' journeys,
but then
are built like this.
Okay, so diehard Halo fan, I said it was only a 6.5. You're a casual Halo fan. You said it's like a 6. Yeah, so just looking at it from like from a sci-fi, like if it wasn't Halo, what would you think of it?
If it wasn't Halo.
Yeah, if it was just a generic show with no
I'd,
back story.
I would, I'd probably give it maybe, okay, if it wasn't Halo and if it wasn't the fact that I know what I know, which is obviously less than, what you guys know, probably the same, probably around 6.
Really?
Probably 6, maybe 7. I'd be willing to give it more of a chance, right?
Wow.
So, and I'll continue watching it. Don't get me wrong, right? Because, I'm 2 episodes in. I might as well finish the season if it's still
I'm gonna watch it.
If it's still going to continue to grab me, because I don't like to leave a story unfinished.
Yeah.
I'll keep up with it.
Okay, are we taking bets now that at least 2 episodes toward the end of the season, the Mandalorian will show up?
No, Boba Fett will.
Yeah, but, he's got. Okay, it's got to be Boba Fett.
Okay, so Ricky, one thing I had a thought, and Mike wouldn't probably never played this game. How interesting would it be if we got some of the Noble team involved at some point, even as a cameo?
From Reach?
Yeah, because it's still.
I think that's. I have a hard time remembering the names like flat out, but I think that might be a couple of the ones that they should, like the 3 that he's talking about going after him.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has that one helmet where it looks like it has 2 flashlights on the side of the head.
Yeah.
And that was one of the Noble team members.
It's Kat, Carter, June, God, what was the guy with the skull?
And I'm not saying I don't remember in Noble 6.
And, that's what I was getting.
I'm not saying that I don't remember theirs. What I'm saying is I don't remember what they were in the show.
In the show. I got you. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But there's only 3 of them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, what is the guy with the skull carved on his helmet? What is his name? I forgot. That's what I always forget. I feel like it starts with an R.
He had like a normal sounding name too, like Ivan or some crap.
It's something. Well, there's George. He's the big one with the gun. There's
the big heavy gunner.
There's June. He's a sniper. Kat. That's obviously the female. Carter's the leader.
The redhead.
And then, of course, Noble 6. But we never see his face because
it's who you play as.
Yeah. And there's some weird thing about Noble 6 being very similar in record to Master Chief, but he doesn't have nearly as high a rank. He's like uber special forces, but why can't I remember? It's not Raphael, but I always think it's that.
No.
But yeah, you're right. It's something like that. But he was the one with the knife and the one with the shotgun.
Yeah.
But either way, no, I think it'd be interesting if we get a little bit of Noble Squad.
That's another thing. This team in here, he's silver team.
Yeah, I saw
Master Chief and
was blue team.
These 3 other Spartans. Yeah, he's silver in the show.
Yeah, but Master Chief's team was blue team, which somehow survived all the way to Halo 4, Halo 5, and now Infinity. So somehow his original squad somehow. But this is what I mentioned before in our previous episode, that Spartans never die. They're just missing in action. They're actually really trying to prove that by showing that there's fucking Spartan 2s that still exist out there that have just never been found.
That's what I'm saying. That there is a possibility that some of these guys are Noble team, because it could be that Silver gets disbanded because of all this crap, and some of these guys go off become Noble team, and he goes off to blue team.
I guess it just depends on how close. Well, no, because blue team would have been before he went quote unquote solo, and before the events of Reach, where he gets put in cryostasis or whatever in the thing.
Which is where we're at. We're still before Reach happened.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, how far before the attack on Reach are we? We don't know. We have those dates, though. We have those dates in canon, so we can see the actual timeline and find that out.
This show happened. They said it was 2552 at the beginning of this episode, which sounds very, very close to the times in the games.
We'll have to look. We'll have to really look at that, but interesting. All right. So is it my turn, or are we done talking about Halo? Because I haven't even talked about any of my shit yet.
Are you done with your week about nerd stuff, Mike?
Man, go for it.
I think we've got a very good discussion, at least on the Halo series. That's really what I wanted to know from you guys. One is a casual and one is an actual fan, to get a good balance on what if I would like it or not, to bother giving it a chance at all. Shaun was enjoying it, though. So
now
all
we
right.
need Shoky's 7 days of nerdiness.
Shit, 14 days,
Yeah.
because once again we didn't do an episode last week. So I did take notes of
I'm
what
just
was.
trying not to say Nerd Week, Shoky.
I won't say Nerd Week, fucker.
I'm trying not to.
It's fine.
Your week of nerdiness.
I don't even have a title for it. That's why I just said, "How the fuck was y'all's week?" Is really how I was going to leave it. I don't want to give it a thing.
That's
So-
gonna be your title. How
So
the fuck
my
was your
fucking week.
nerds.
So my fucking week. So I started out. I was bored, and I watched The Kingsman. So the prequel to the Kingsman series.
Oh, hell yeah. How was that?
How about that? I watched that too, but go ahead.
Okay. So So here's my quick thing on it. So it had some cool fight scenes, fictional kind of behind the seat series of WW or how World War II began and went and
No, World War One.
no, it was two.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah,
I
right. It
thought
wasn't. What?
Rasputin, no, that was World War
That's
One.
right. It was one. It was
Pretty much
one. Yeah, it was one. Sorry, I put
Mhm.
two. You're right. Because I thought about it, like, wait a minute, they didn't set up Hitler to do this; they set up the other stuff. Sorry, wrong
Mhm.
thing. So, but I loved one thing that was interesting about it, and I didn't catch until later in the movie. They used the same actor to play each of the quote unquote cousins. You know,
Yeah.
so Tsar Nicholas, what's his face, King George or whatever, and then Truman. They were all the
Right.
same actor, just
Yeah.
look slightly different. But it kind of showed how the Kingsman organization began right at the end, technically speaking, but then gave little hints as it went on.
Yeah.
But I said that honestly, overall, it was more boring than the previous two. Like, it was such a plot.
Absolutely. It was very slow.
The first half of the
Yeah.
movie is so goddamn slow. And like, because you've got a couple different main characters that you can kind of compare to. Conrad, which is the son of I don't even put it on his actual name. He is bland and stupid compared to Eggsy. Like, he's just a fucking moron to the point that, like, I love that I wrote this.
I laughed when it happened.
Exactly. So I wrote that even Ray Fiennes didn't make a great movie out of this. You know, it's like to have such a fucking great actor right at the key of it did not make it. It did look pretty. It was a very pretty movie. But Conrad's whole concept that ends up getting him killed, spoilers, he switches places and switches names with a different soldier just so he could stay on the front lines when his dad was trying to pull him back. But the way he dies is directly connected to that decision. And it's so fucking stupid. Even though he was you think he's going to be this big hero that's going to turn everything around, and almost.
Wow.
So fucking close.
Nope.
But he fucked up so bad. But
Best part of that movie was the Rasputin fight.
the Rasputin fight was great. Actually, everything when they were trying to get into Rasputin's, to spy on him technically and get info from him and then eventually kill him was great. I think the rest of the movie
From about that part
was
forward.
rushed through, kind of sucked, honestly. Like, even the final baddie, as it were, I just didn't give a fuck by that point. Because he had been made this whole big behind-the-scenes character thing. You never saw his face or any of this shit because they were trying to save the big
I
reveal.
guessed who it was.
I guessed
I
a
knew
little
it was.
bit. I guessed a bit, but I fell asleep in the middle of the movie. I had to rewatch it. Now, mind you, I'm watching this middle of the day on a Monday, so I should have been awake for it. And I just said, it was that boring through the middle of it that by the time they got to raiding that, like, mesa in the middle of nowhere, I was so goddamn bored, man. But, like, by the time it got to the very end of it and they actually set up the Kingsman organization and stuff like that, because obviously it's going to do that, it kind of made sense. And I like how they, assign new people to be, Lancelot and Merlin and
The
all that
Knights
kind
of
of
the
stuff.
Round Table. Yeah.
Knights of the Round Table concept. So, like, as a beginning thing and showing how the organization really came together, and the underground network of servants across the world was fantastic.
Yes.
I liked that aspect.
That was pretty cool.
So they're
like being able to talk to the butler in the White House.
yes. So they had
cool.
spies all over the
Ah,
entire
okay.
world. Before they were a real organization, they were just basically he was the Duke of something, I forget. So he was quote unquote royalty. Royalty. So he
I want
was
to say it was Wellington, wasn't he?
it might have been Wellington. So he was well connected, but then they had set up this whole network of servants across the world that were spying on important people to keep information flowing because they were trying to keep track of who was doing what, and they knew something was coming setting up to the World War.
Like his maid's cousin was the butler in the White House, so
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was
Well,
pretty
it
cool.
was all. I
It was
like
pretty
the
cool.
idea that
Because it was my sister's brother's cousin's boyfriend's
Yeah.
sister.
Former roommate.
Well,
Yeah.
see,
What does that
exactly.
make us?
well, the thing was I liked about it was like they showed all the major historical events of World War One that kind of happened, and then they showed
Right.
how this
Mhm.
shadow evil organization made those things happen. And I thought that was like the
Okay.
sinking
Yeah.
of the Lusitania. That was actually really cool.
Mhm.
I was like, because you didn't guess that was a ship he was on until it got sunk, and then you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit,
And
okay, that's what got us here.
the assassination of
Assassination of
Ferdinand or whatever.
Ferdinand, yeah, Archduke Ferdinand. That was great.
Yeah.
Once they did
Mhm.
that, I was like, I see what's happening now. So I mean,
Mhm.
it was boring, but it had some
I
good
like when
parts. Go ahead.
what was it, Baron von Bismarck or whatever, the one that was running Germany, he started pitching a fit saying he didn't want to do something their way. So what's his name? From Avengers.
Oh,
The guy who started the
Oh.
war. Who
That's right,
started
that's
Civil
right.
War.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
He worked for the Shadow Organization and was like the German Chancellor's right hand man. So he
Yeah.
just went back. He's like, "Hey, Dude won't listen to me. We're gonna do something about that."
Yeah, that's right. They did do that. All of the big important people that they were trying to manipulate weren't going their way after like a few months. So they just found a way to kill them and make it happen anyways. Even the president. They actually got the president in a honey trap situation, and they had to go retreat. But like it seemed unlike the previous movies, this seemed like a whole bunch of fetch quests leading to a boss fight. This was a video game. This was not a movie.
Wow.
Everything about it played out like a video game. We got to go back to home base. We got to find out this new information from our new things. Let's go on location. Let's go find the thing. Oh, we got a quick interruption thing. We got to find our way around here to get to the thing. Everything about it was a video game. And then there were some like very small references to the other, like you see, like, okay, this is how this got set up for the next movies and stuff like that.
Sounds like a Where's Waldo.
So like if you watch the other two Kingsman movie,
Yeah.
my easiest recommendation for you is to go on YouTube and Google the Rasputin fight and just watch that, and you're good. You don't need to see any more of this movie.
Actually, not just the fight though, because the entire thing where they are visiting with him was cool.
It was
like,
cool.
The
But
seduction
that was still
thing.
the best part.
He tried to set up his son to seduce Rasputin to get the info and or kill him.
Because Rasputin,
He just has proclivities, but instead he takes the dad and then like he uses his weird medical knowledge to fix his wounded leg. So he like almost actually
it's like supposed to be magic and stuff.
no, actually what he does makes sense, but like he almost actually gets him, like, and then he remembers, oh yeah, I have to kill this guy. It's like, and then he finds out what's going on, and then the whole poisoning thing, like we all know how Rasputin was supposedly, like, it is that Rasputin, by the way. It's supposed to be that one, the warrior monk type guy, warrior priest type guy.
But like the whole fight is, have you ever seen the Nutcracker Suite?
Yes.
Like the Russian dancers,
Yes, you see the Russian dancing, all that stuff. He does all of that.
It's you see how he uses that, but as a fighting style.
Yeah, it's fantastic,
nuts, dude. Like that thing where they do where they cross their arms and they drop and kick outwards and all that stuff. It's actually he's blocking with his arms and kicking out the feet from underneath the person in front of him.
Well,
like it becomes a whole thing.
Well, because part of that dance is also flailing your arms like this while you're laying back while kicking. So he's actually using it like the kicking is defensive, and so is the swinging of the arms. And he gets sword and a gun and whatever else. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's actually really cool how they did.
I mean, most of the fights were good. It was just getting to that point was actually fairly well plotting. It was just like, come on, just fucking get there. And then, like, you have to think.
That's what I'm saying. Skip all of it.
Yeah. And you got to think this
watch
is
the new ones and then just watch that fight.
Yeah. And you got to think this is like in the teens, right? So this is like 1911, 1910, somewhere in
It's
there.
like 1913 because the assassination happened.
Well, by the time they get there, yes. But I'm saying, like, they're building up to it because you never get a sense of how much time except for you see his son get older and like get into the military, and then once they actually get into the war, because mind you, they're British, so they're already into it. We're not dealing with this from the American side.
They tell you about a 12-year time. You can actually track it because at the very beginning they tell you what year it is when they're in Africa when the kid's a boy.
Yeah.
And then stuff happens there, and then it says 12 years later.
Yeah,
and that's
so
when he's
it
adult.
would
So
have
you
to be
can do the math to figure it out. Yeah,
that's true. But the only thing I thought was weird is that seemingly the statesmen don't exist yet. but the whiskey company that they're under does exist. So originally, I think what was
That might
thought
be
that,
something they do later, like the Kingsmen in the '60s or some crap, and
Well-
they'll make up how that came about.
well, because I always thought that the Statesmen were a spinoff of the Kingsmen, and then they just sort of
Mhm.
but so they have to establish the relationship between them, or else we don't get what the setup for the second movie.
Unless it goes back to previous conversation, how Zeta branched off from Toy World. It might be one of those people that are at the round table goes, well, I don't like these set of rules, so I'm going to branch
Well-
off and become this
Well,
instead.
remember
Right.
one of them is American. One of them is an American.
Mhm.
So it could be something like
yeah,
that.
that's
But
right.
the thing is, if the Statesmen exist already, that means they predate the Kingsmen, but it was supposed to be the other way around, because I think they originally were
I
trying
don't
to
think they can, though, because didn't they talk something about the Statesmen were from World War II era?
maybe
Like that's
we'll have to
when
go
they started
back.
was during World War II?
We'll have to go back and rewatch the second movie to double check
Yeah,
on that. But
That Golden Circle.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the Golden Circle was people don't really like that movie as much, but I liked it. I thought it was great. I mean, I hate that.
I thought it was
I
okay.
liked it. The first one was still better. It
Yeah.
suffers from the sophomore
It's
turnout.
a sequel
but it
problem,
was
yeah,
still good.
exactly. But I thought the second one was actually pretty good. And I knew everything about it before I watched it. I watched a ton of reviews and stuff like that.
And definitely better than this prequel.
It's definitely better than the prequel. The prequel was a bad plan.
But I'm going to say this. I'm going to keep harping on it. That Russian fight dance was better than the whole second movie. Just that part was better than the whole second movie.
The part I thought was fucked up, and it was just the way they did it, was like they thought they had him, and then he just suddenly vomits like this stream of crap out, and then he's like wipes his mouth and then just goes to kill them because he realized he was being poisoned. It's like, I drink a little poison every morning to get my.
But it went slapsticky. It wasn't like a normal vomit.
Yes,
it was
cartoonish.
Next to the head.
Yeah, it was cartoonish.
From the side shot, so you couldn't see the hose, and it sprayed straight out. And
Yeah.
that part
I couldn't with that.
That far. Like, come on.
No. All right, so continuing on with things I watched, I did watch a few things on Netflix. First couple episodes of History 101, really didn't dig it. It was just too short, and there was basically, the first one was going on the history of fast food and how it came about in America and then across the world. Like, they started with McDonald's and went from there, and then the next one was the space race. And while somewhat informative, every episode had a little bit of a bent to it that it was like, I gotta wonder who put this together. So, it wasn't even
crazy. Did they show you
crazy.
that the moon landing was fake?
No, they didn't show us that in particular. They did not talk about how they faked the moon landing and how that's all, in the secret underground area under the White House, as we learn in Rick and Morty, because Rick and Morty is actually canon to the known universe.
And that the Earth's not really flat; it's just slightly concave.
There we go. Just it's convex. It's convex.
No, I'm going the other direction. I want concave.
What if this was actually a shield world all along and we were all crazy?
We're just a big bowl.
Exactly. Let's see here. Oh, so things we did watch that was actually really badass. Is It Cake? It's a really stupid game show that they came up with on Netflix. So it's basically they have a big group of bakers. Hold on. When I explain the premise, you're going to understand how stupid it was. But it's also very, very engaging. So basically, they have a whole bunch of bakers come together, and they give them real-world objects they have to simulate. They have to decorate the cake and build it out to make it look like very specific things. And then they bring in celebrity judges to pick out the cake or other. So the concept is it cake. So they give you four or five items out there, and you got to say which one is cake. But you only got like 15 seconds to figure it out, and they're like 10 feet away.
So it's like the guy or girl thing on RuPaul?
No. I mean, it could be, but I haven't watched that. But actually, it may be. That's a pretty good analogy to this. But some of them were really, really well done. And they're only like 30-minute episodes. So like it goes really fast. And you're not seeing all the behind the scenes stuff because they don't want you to know exactly which one is fake. So you're also playing along. So you don't see every detail the baker puts into it. So you're even like, sometimes it's obvious. Like some of them are just not that good, but then other ones are fantastic. But then to add to it, so they win like $5,000 or something per episode. And then and the thing is, it's like, it's not everybody goes and then it's an elimination. It's like they go 3 at a time. They have to pick whichever one they're shown, and the people who get it right the fastest, they move on to compete. and then they pick 2 other people to go with them. So it's not the same people every week. It gets mixed up. And then if
That's cool.
if they fool all the judges, they go in to win. You know, whoever's gets picked, you know, they fail instantly. If they don't guess it right, they go into the final judgment on is it cash. So they give you 2 options, and it's, you know, a pile of cash in a box or whatever, you know, coming out of a bowl. And whoever's making that stuff is really goddamn good, because it is hard as fuck to tell the difference. And if they get that, they double their money instantly. If they don't get it, that goes into the
How
pool.
far away from it does it have to be when they're looking at it?
10 feet. But the camera is closer for us, you know.
Right.
So we get to see the shit up close. The people watching don't. Now,
that's crazy.
It's a crazy show, and it's fast, and it's really badly written in the way, like, they have a bad comedian doing the hosting job, so he's making all the cheesy jokes and shit. But it's enjoyable. None of you'll probably won't know a single one.
Is it Nick Cannon?
No, it's some guy I've never even heard of. But that show went really fast. I didn't even see all of it. I got to see like the first few and then the last few because I was streaming. The wife was watching it, but right behind that we started watching Baking Impossible, which is a different concept of a cooking competition, not a game show. So they combine engineers with bakers to become baconeers. I'm not joking. This is the thing they call it. So
shut the fuck up.
I'm not joking. And it's in each thing they have a challenge to both bake and something has to be engineered. Like in the first episode, they had to make a working sailboat out of cake and edible stuff, and it had to go like a 12-foot thing and be able to navigate. It had to have a movable rudder by remote, and the sails had to work to be blown by fans, and it still had to be edible. Like they had to have an edible thing at the end. So they both had to bake something that worked as an actual sailing boat.
Oh.
And get it there. The second one was actually they had to make a working robot that had to run a course. And it had to be.
That's what I was gonna say. When they ever do one that's a fucking transformer that has to transform and then you have to eat it afterwards, that's the one.
No, they didn't do that. But one of the biggest challenges, they had to make a car that would have a dummy in it that could survive a 25-mile-an-hour crash and use mostly edible stuff.
Made out of cake?
Yes.
But that's fucked up.
But they gave him a basic they gave him a basic rolling chassis, but then everything else had to be made of cake, including the restraints and safety stuff for the thing. And the food item
couldn't fall off when it crashed or whatever.
Well, they put accelerometers. They put accelerometers on it, like MythBusters style, to see if it would survive the crash. And only 2 of them did. I mean, like, and then they did one where you had to build at least a 5-foot building that could survive a shake test. So they put it on an earthquake platform to see if it would fall over or not. I mean, like, they really had to fucking try. That show was really fucking good. So, Is It Cake is goofy and dumb.
Check that one out.
I'm telling you, that is worth it. Look it up. That one is worth it. What wasn't worth it, however, at least to me, because I'm not a female, was Bridgerton. Don't watch Bridgerton. It's garbage.
Just don't watch it. End of review. Don't watch it.
So I will tell you right off the bat, it's a Shonda Rhimes written show that takes place in a fictional version of Victorian England. So if you're very aware of any Shondaland show, which is basically Grey's Anatomy and all of its spin-offs, and then a couple other things. I think she also did How to Get Away with Murder and stuff like that.
My wife swears by Grace.
Okay, so she would really like Bridgerton then. And
she probably already watched it.
Probably has. It was apparently a really, really big deal for a while, and the wifey likes stuff from that era, so she just happened to watch it. I'm sure she's probably watching it still right now, if I'm honest with you. But it's garbage, and I literally wrote this. So we only watched the first 2 episodes when I wrote this little mini review. So this is what I wrote. I said, I can't wait to see how everyone is their own worst enemy and makes the exact wrong mistakes to fuck up their lives. Because that is literally what every single Shondaland show does. The Grey's Anatomy is only that. Everyone is their own worst enemy, and they make the worst possible decision at the exact wrong time to fuck up their life completely. That's the story of Grey's Anatomy. And that's why House will always be an infinitely better medical drama.
Yes.
Hi, baby. Food's here?
Agreed.
Okay.
Well, that because the lead character is a male.
Well, even if it wasn't. So that was it for at
I
least
say shit like that to my wife just to drive her nuts.
Yeah, I understand. So that's it at least for watching. I did get some stuff in. I got in BBTS order. I got 2 of my dumpster fire figures. If you've seen those things advertised on there. So it's a little vinyl dumpster with a smiley. No. It's from a company called 100 Soft, and it's actually a
I know what you're
dumpster.
talking about.
It's actually a dumpster with fire coming out of it. So I got their Hellfire one, and then I got the one. It's the one of those early internet memes. It's the dog with the coffee mug, and everything's on fire, and it just says "This is fine."
Yeah.
So I got the special edition "This is fine" version. I did miss the 2020 special edition. That sucked. I really wanted that one because that one just said 2020 on the dumpster instead of the normal smiling face. And then I got a new 5-2 Toys figure. It's another crossover with what the fuck is the name of the company? Kotobuki is also doing stuff with them as well. That I've got one of the model kits. But what's interesting about it, it's actually one of their first die-cast figures from 5-2 Toys, and that's the Beast Box stuff like that. Rikki, I know you've probably seen some of those.
Right.
So it's actually got a die-cast shell to it, and it actually came with stickers so that you can actually deco the quote-unquote box however you want in the end. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll do out of the boxes for all those things fairly soon. I do have more Power Rangers comics on the way. I did order some shit because things went on sale on Amazon, and they weren't $250 anymore. They were back at the reasonable $700 for the Shattered Grid hardcover. So that's coming, except it's taking fucking forever to get here. It says it won't be here till the 11th, and I ordered it last week. I was like, oh, good thing I'm paying for Amazon. Also, speaking of deliveries, I want to talk about this real quick. So my BBTS order, for the last 3 times, and I think I mentioned this on other episodes, have been left downstairs. We're on the 3rd floor. Right. Our boxes are getting left downstairs at the equivalent number, but 2 floors down. And it has happened for at least the last 3 episodes. So I said, last 3 orders. And what happened this time is not only was my box left there, a package going to the office itself was left there with my package. So, like, had no apartment number or nothing. This motherfucker is apparently the only thing he delivered that day and left it just there. He said, somebody will take care of it. So I took that to the office because I knew where it was going. And she said, yeah, I have this other package in here that was the same. That was left downstairs at the wrong apartment and in the right building. And at least unfortunately in that case, that lady doesn't live here anymore, so she had to contact the actual lady to come get it. But the idea that this particular and I found out eventually this is a new FedEx driver for our area, is not going up past the 1st floor. You're just leaving everyone's shit on the bottom floor.
Wow.
And I think they're allowed to do that.
No, they're not. This is an apartment complex where things are not gated and individually protected, and we don't have a mail room. You can't do that shit. You cannot do that because you don't know.
I thought they had like a rule, like how many steps past the opening or some shit. They had to go.
No. This is just this driver. Because our previous driver, no problem. And because there was one day because I knew I'd gotten it was when my statues came in. And I was like, hey, I'll save you a walk with those big ass boxes. I got there as he pulled up. And so I said, I know that's going to be a lot of shit to hang up there. I'll take it up there. Now, that guy never had a problem coming up to the 3rd floor. I mean, it's inconvenient. Look, I've been in a delivery service one way or shape or form since I was 16.
Yeah.
3rd floor or higher sucks ass. I understand it sucks. But when you have a 1-pound box that's this, you guys can't see me, that's only like, 6 inches by 6 inches. I forgot to turn off my camera. You guys can't see me. Let's see if it'll pop back up here in a second. There it goes. So
still doesn't help the listeners.
But I'm saying for you guys. So a box this big that weighs 2 pounds, you can't tell me you can't bring that upstairs. But the fact that he's leaving everybody's stuff downstairs, it's a problem. So I got a hold of FedEx eventually because they have the worst customer service automated fucking systems. So I had to yell at it. It's like, I want to talk to customer support. I was like, let me talk to a representative. And it's like, okay, but what is your problem? The automated system is like, incorrect
Oh,
delivery.
there's no point talking to an automated.
Dude, there was no shortcut. There wasn't
it.
a shortcut at that point, so I had to get through it. But eventually I did, and I did talk to a
Just
guy.
keep saying your mom.
Well, here's the other really screwed up. Here's the screwed up part to it. So it was one of the kind of I forgot what they call it, something post, where it's supposed to be dropped at the post office, and I guess because that truck. Whoa, Discord just dropped out on me. What the hell? Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, you gonna have a lot of editing to do, dude.
Yeah, I know. I don't, dude. That was just Discord. I didn't even do that. That was just
Wow.
Discord just shut off. It does that every now
No,
and then.
we said you should have just used your name as Karen, and you would have probably been able to talk to the manager quicker.
Oh, it probably would have worked. Yeah, but at least.
My question is, was it still recording while you were gone, or just because you were gone to stop recording?
Well, no, I've still recorded what I said, but then I also said, oh shit, Discord just shut off on me. So there was, if there was anything that happened to you with you guys, there was nothing, obviously. So
we made goo eyes at each other.
All I tried to do was turn on my
did.
camera, and the whole thing just went to shit. Okay,
we just went through sweet nothings we're telling each other, and
that's fine. That's fine. So either way, I talked to a human being, and he said, "Oh, that is definitely a problem." I was like, "Yeah, no shit, that's a problem." And then he said, "Okay, I will put in a complaint, so they can talk to the driver." And he, he was in the system enough that he could look up and see that it was a new driver, because I told him, it's like, this only started happening about a month and a half ago. And then he said, "Okay, yeah." It's like, I look at it, there is a new driver on this route. I was like, "Well, give me the old guy back, because I don't give a fuck. This is annoying." I was like,
"You guys are a piece of shit."
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. So.
Well, we can't do that, Mr. Shoki, because he happens to be dead now.
Yeah, exactly. They killed that guy.
You're stuck.
So the thing is, like,
meanwhile, he's screaming obscenities to the sun. Damn you!
Exactly. Shaking fist.
The guy, the old driver's like, "I'm not dead. I'm just gonna go for a walk."
I'm not
I'll
dead.
I'll get better.
Yes, you are.
It's just gonna be me running out on my balcony with a rake, shaking and yelling at the guy as he leaves my shit downstairs.
He won't let me out of my cage.
Yeah.
You're gonna be out there like a 90-year-old man.
I have to be sometimes, but
he's with a tin cup, just raking it across the bars.
my worry is that the guy's gonna be a dick about it, and then like,
I've seen.
No, my worry is that the guy's going to be a dick about it now that somebody's filed a complaint. I was like, I'm just probably the first out of like 17 people who've needed to complain and just didn't bother. Dude,
I had a couple of them where the FedEx guy left them at the bottom of my driveway.
Yeah.
Now, anybody knows anything about Florida? It could be sunshiny and beautiful out, and in a split second be dumping ass with no clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, I called FedEx and I went slapped the fuck off. They're like, "Are you sure he didn't bring it up?" And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "Motherfucker, I got security cameras on my house everywhere. I can tell you the size shoe that motherfucker was wearing while he said it at the end of my driveway. Don't tell me nothing."
Well,
you would have pulled Will Smith.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get there. Don't segue ahead of me, Mike. Okay. So the other
segue, sir.
Well, you know what's the fucked up part is Amazon and FedEx never knock and they never ring the doorbell. UPS does both.
Yep.
They do both.
Yeah.
So Amazon, at least most of the time, they have the thing where they take the picture so you can see where they left it. Generally.
Yep.
So at least I can tell if it's my doormat. But FedEx, I get the notification that it was delivered because when I was having issues, when the dude left it somewhere in our apartment complex, because he clearly didn't even look at the actual apartment number. I had to sign up for their whole thing, so now I know when my shit gets delivered, and I get tracking notifications the whole time. And so I knew, like, I know it's coming. I know what time he's normally here. And then I checked it, and then I got the notification, and all I did was go, I know it's not at my fucking door. I opened the door, I looked down, nope. What did I do? Went straight down to the bottom of the stairs, and there it is with other people's shit. But the thing is like, they're not just delivering toys, they're not just delivering nonsense people need. There's medication, there's all kinds of shit that gets delivered. Yeah. You can't just drop at people's fucking doors. So it's like, come on, man. It's like, do your fucking job. If you can't do your job and come up the stairs, take all the shit to the office, even though they don't like it, because then it puts it on them.
Yep.
Because they get mad because then they end up going to deliver it to the people instead. I was like, but at least bring it to the office. Now, one time I got worried that they were just going to leave our stuff down by our mailboxes, which is kind of secure, But anybody walking up could just take it. But same as, it's not like it's hidden. It's literally at the front door. You know,
Yeah.
anybody
If I'm not at
driving-
home and I get a notification saying my stuff's here, first thing I do is go check my security app, pull
Yeah.
up my cameras, and start.
Yeah,
Looking.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can't do that 100% here, but you know,
Mhm.
it is what it is. But that just really fucking annoyed me because it was like the third or fourth fucking time in a row. Which, you know, if it gets dealt with and the guy finally starts leaving the shit up here, you know, and I didn't catch him. I didn't catch him the last time he rolled through. Like he had some at our neighboring building. And I was gonna be like, fuck. I wanted to at least say something, be like, hey man, it's like I don't want to be an asshole about it. You know, I just want to be like, look, you got to do your damn job. If you can't do your job, take it to the office. I talked to them about it. You know, if you don't have time to do it, well, I'm sorry, that's not on you. Your job is to bring the shit to people. That's just what you get paid to do.
That's
You
right.
know?
Look, everybody on floors 2 and 3 are now gonna have boot holes in all their boxes because of you.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. And guess what?
No.
That fucker going to get fired. Because you know what FedEx does with these contract employees when they start causing problems? They fucking fire them.
Fire 'em.
Because they are
Yep.
contract
Right on the spot.
employees.
That's right.
And I don't want the guy to get fired because everybody needs a
Well,
goddamn
because
job.
especially in this day and age where things are getting stolen, like
Yeah.
left, right, and center,
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It could be an super expensive piece of hardware.
It could
You
be
know,
anything,
you don't know
dude.
what's in the
It
package.
could be anything. You know,
Exactly.
At my work, so much stuff was getting stolen by the inside employees that
Wow.
they had to install cameras, and then they started firing people right and left because they were catching them stealing shit.
Yep.
Yep.
So I mean,
That's the way you do it.
that's the way it works. And I mean, at this point, you know, FedEx has fucked me over out of very expensive Gundam kits. Has fucked me over out of figures, stuff like that. Delivered shit to the wrong building. Almost got my wife's birthday present delivered to the wrong goddamn. Actually, did deliver it to the wrong building, but luckily they brought it to the office, so the office got it to me.
Wow.
Ricky's currently out at the moment.
No,
so
I'm
it's
here.
fine. Okay, I saw you click off, so I didn't know if you had to go for a second. It's fine. All right, so that's it, at least for how my fucking week has been, or 2 weeks has been. Upcoming week though, just real quick, we do have a very important doctor's appointment on Wednesday, and it will either be horrible news or really great news. It's kind of hard to know in between. Or it could be horrible news packed onto more horrible news, which is always a problem as well. So, but it has been a nerve-wracking couple weeks since we got some other news, and we've been waiting to go to the doctor to find out what's going on. So,
Wow.
Well,
And-
you know my thoughts and prayers and
I know.
love is with you and your wife, man.
yeah, I know.
ditto, bud.
Yeah. So, and then I'll talk about it more in the future, depending on what news comes out, because you know we're trying to keep it under wraps until we don't want people to get too worried until we know things. So,
Right.
but
Plus,
either
you know,
way,
I'll come out there and kick the shit out of any of those doctors. You just point me in their direction.
okay, I mean, I will definitely do that. But as long as they don't say anything about her hair, I don't think we'll have that problem.
Okay.
There
There-
you go.
There's the
Speaking of
segue.
which,
There's the segue. So, let's
Mike,
just
take notes. That's a proper segue, sir.
yeah. Mike tried to segue when someone else is doing something. It's like, no, you let that person segue.
I do my best for the collective.
Like your segue would have been fine, except we weren't there. Okay, either way. So Will Smith apparently decided to go ahead and smack the shit out of Chris Rock at the Oscars last week when we weren't doing. Okay, so imagine this: if we were recording last week's episode, that would have happened in the middle of us recording. Because I got the notification across YouTube right after it happened. Like people were posting that shit, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I was like,
I
"So
got it on Twitter.
yeah, well, I don't have Twitter, so
Yeah.
that would be it." But
Like
wow,
wow.
if we could have commented on that live if we were doing that, but it's fine. So either way, there's been a lot of things. For those who haven't seen it, just look on the internet. It's just there.
All three of you who haven't seen it.
All
in
three
this
people
world.
who somehow didn't see that.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow you're so far under a rock you didn't see that, but you're still listening to this podcast.
That's
You,
right.
you know what wasn't under a rock? Apparently Jada. So
Yeah.
so
Are we gonna go with our favorite
All of
memes
you
of the
people
week?
in Zimbabwe.
oh, I wish we could. We might get there. So let's say at least what happened. Basically, Chris Rock hosting at least this particular chunk, made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's lack of hair, which was very benign. It was very benign.
Uh-huh.
But
It
apparently
wasn't
she
even
comes
bad.
out. She comes out. I guess that day technically had just announced that she had alopecia. So perhaps that was just shitty timing, because
All right, time out right there, real quick, because this is going to be important later on.
yes,
I understand alopecia is a disease that people have to deal with, but
Yes.
the way the media is spinning that, the way they're phrasing that,
yes,
they're trying to make it think like he was attacking a kid with leukemia.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And,
not.
and to be fair, she's not completely bald because of that. She's got like a little ridge happening across the front.
She got the widow's peak.
She's got like a widow's peak happening. And
Exactly.
honestly, as somebody who is very much losing their hair, I completely understand that. But it's not like it's blatantly obvious that she shaved her head because of alopecia problems. You know, she just shaved her head and then said nothing about it. You know, and maybe she's had that for a while and she's been wearing wigs, or maybe it was after years and years of having braids, because apparently that seems to be one thing that could be an issue. At least for black women who do that, you know, that can cause issues. And there are other leading causes of balding
And males.
in males. I was getting there. Like
the braids pull on your hair really hard.
yeah, and it pulls the shit out of the roots, and then they eventually die out. Like for myself, you know, you guys can see my hairline essentially most of the time. You know, my hairline has definitely.
Right now, you're wearing a Santa Claus hat. I don't see anything else.
I am, yes, but that's because of my receding hairline. So, but I both have the. I don't have a full cul-de-sac happening. I've just got the concrete pond in the back, and then I have the
cul-de-sac.
Yeah, the cul-de-sac.
You got what my uncle calls. Uncle calls them bowling alleys.
Kind of, I guess. So
on the sides where they run back.
Oh yeah, but it's not that bad. But like, but the front has receded a lot, and then the back is really like on top is going back. And for the most part, for me, it's not even a genetic thing. There's very few bald men in my family at all. There's very few that have even thinning hair. For me, it was the way I used to wear hats, like because I used to I like my ball caps tight, and I would always put it on the front first. And Ricky, you know how this works. You put the bill down and you pull back, and then you rub it back flat. So is it a coincidence?
Same thing.
Is it a coincidence that I'm bald exactly where I always would rub my head? Yeah, Mike's got.
Actually, I don't know if it's the rubbing part of it, but they actually say people who wear caps a lot that does happen because it doesn't get enough of the vitamin D from the sun to help the roots.
Yes, that's exactly. Right. That's true too.
You get it right in the back, and you can get it. Yeah, like
that's basically what Mike's got going on too. Mike's ahead of me a little. Okay, the reason I say that it's a friction thing is because I actually saw a friend destroy his hairline by the way he slept. He actually rested his head against his wooden the headboard, and it actually he had a perfectly straight across, well trimmed hairline. You know, he always kept his hair super short, but he had really tight fro, so he could do that. He had a perfect line across, and then now it goes zoop, and only on the one side that he always rests his head, and now it's a real dark spot that's not hair because it's essentially scarred.
Dear listeners, I want to interrupt you for a second, Shoki.
Go ahead.
I want to say this is the second time since he started his conversation where he has shown us physically something that he's talking about with his camera off.
Well, because the last time I turned my camera on, it fucking shut down Discord.
Here's when the hair went zoop and described and showed it to us, and we didn't see shit, y'all.
But you guys,
you're that way.
You guys have a great imagination, though. I know you.
You're welcome.
It
makes for a more interesting show that way.
It does, but I have to add the effect to it. I keep forgetting I can't be seen, even though I know I can't be seen.
Next time I brush my hair, I'm gonna go zoop.
You should. Speaking of which, I actually need a little bit of a haircut. So either way, so after this little off the cuff joke, which actually seemed to be a little bit of improv because,
oh, for sure.
According to the people who, because they do have to rehearse a lot of this nonsense ahead of time. That joke was not included in the rehearsals, so that was on the spot.
Here's the thing: is she doesn't look bald-headed. She looks like she shaved her head.
She looks like she shaved her head down, and she has a stubble. It's the
He made a G.I. Jane joke, and she looks exactly like Demi Moore looked in that movie with a little 5 o'clock shadow all over her whole head.
And whether or not he saw any of her initial post about being, now that she's making the announcement that she has alopecia, which apparently happened that day, who knows? Because that would be a big deal, and he's a black man saying this to a black woman. If he knew that shit, he would not have said that shit. Let's be honest here.
More importantly, I'm gonna call bullshit on that because he might be a black man, she might be a black woman, but he's a comedian.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with comedians: if you put something out there in the public that they can make a joke about, they're gonna make a joke about it because that's literally their fucking job.
I agree, but I also feel like, and then this is gonna come up in the discussion here in a minute, because Chris Rock has since come out to talk about it, at least on stage, because he had comedy shows to do post Oscars. The problem is that he even said, like, when he first came out, his first show was literally the next fucking day. And he said, I know y'all all want me to come out here and talk about this and make jokes about what happened at the Oscars, but I haven't even had time to write a bit about it yet because I'm still dealing with this nonsense and I'm still reeling from it. And I haven't found a way to...
So he's going to make a joke about getting himself slapped on television because that's what he does.
But what I'm getting at,
Exactly.
But what I'm getting at is, like, he couldn't even come up with a joke there and there, a good joke. So in theory, he just saw her because they're right up front, saw that she had shaved her head very recently, and made the G.I. Jane joke, not like he knew ahead of time. You know, so that's the bullshit he came up with on the spot, the G.I. Jane joke. And that's not even as good as what he wanted.
It's a very weak joke because it's a
weak
25-year-old movie that most people wouldn't even get the reference to.
Exactly.
Late 90s. Like, come on. How many people are going to get that joke?
Everybody who saw that. That's actually a good movie. I'm going to be honest. It's actually a pretty good movie.
Good.
So
I'm not hating on it.
No.
This is the one thing that I discussed in the video that I released about it like last week, right?
Yes.
Okay. I can see both sides of this story, right? First of all, you know, whether okay. First, just follow me on this for a second, okay?
Okay.
Will
I'm gonna
Smith,
let you go because I'm gonna go off when it gets to being me. So I'm gonna
Will
let you go.
Smith obviously married to her. I can see a husband defending his wife against a really, one could say, you know, an off-color kind of joke.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can see it that way because alopecia, and so she's suffering that way because of it, right? So I can.
What did you do, Mike? He didn't have to click on things. He clicked on things. As soon as he clicked on things, it went wonky.
RBF.
Yep.
The camera cut away, and then about 15 seconds later, he reacted.
Now, you know what? A lot of people are saying, oh, well, this was staged, blah, blah, blah. You know what? More than likely, it probably was, okay? And I'm going to tell you, because for the past few years, Oscar ratings have been tanking so bad. So bad, right? Nobody's watching it anymore, okay? Plus, on top of that, it's an awful big coincidence that the big sponsor of this is also Pfizer. Who makes the medication also for alopecia? Pfizer, right?
Yeah,
So
no.
not,
Okay, that's
no.
level
Hold on,
shit,
but it wouldn't surprise me. But it would not surprise me if, because the ratings are tanking so bad.
Rikki, you're not coming across at all.
This was, you know, premeditated in such a way to cause a quote unquote scene that would grab everybody's attention so that next year people will be paying attention and wanting to tune in to see if something else happens next year.
Okay,
it's kind of a conspiracy, I know, but you know what? When you got less than 3% watching the Oscars now, yeah.
Let me tell you what, that didn't change anything, dude. We live in 2022. You want me to tell you how much of the Oscars I watched? That 30-second clip. And it was on the internet 10 seconds after it happened. I didn't tune into the Oscars.
Yeah, but the whole point is, right, is that setting it up because, oh, we don't want to miss what's going to happen come next year, right?
Yeah.
I'll just wait and see if it shows up on YouTube again. That's what I'm saying.
But
you're not going to force me to watch
how many sheep are going to be going? How many sheep are going to be going? Oh, you know, I got to tune in this year. I didn't tune in last year, and this happened, right? Something might happen this year, right?
And if something does happen, it'll immediately be on YouTube. So I still don't have to watch the Oscars.
Yeah, but there are so many people obsessed with celebrities. You know, this is all. I think for the most part, pretty much staged. Pretty much.
Okay. I strongly disagree with that being staged.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is this, and I'm going to say a very, very unpopular opinion.
No, go ahead.
Will Smith is a giant pussy. What he did was a bitch move in all levels of it.
No, and I agree.
I'm a grown ass man. If you make a joke about my wife, I ain't gonna laugh with you first. I'm gonna slap the fuck out of you, and then we'll talk about why you should not have said that about my wife.
Well, see, and this is why I said possibly staged, right?
Two,
if it wasn't. Yeah,
he has stayed with this woman after all this cheating allegations, not even allegations, she flat out fucking admitted to it. I mean, there's no allegations. It's fact.
Yeah.
She's admitted to it.
Cocked.
So I'm not even gonna say cucked because let me tell you, being in love with somebody will make you do some silly shit.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, he loves this woman more than anything. Because here's a man who not only had to deal with that, but even prior to that and continual, every chance Jada gets to be on a camera, she breaks into tears and cries about Tupac, how much she loved him, how much he was the best man she's ever known in her life, how he is her soulmate. She has said that with Will Smith sitting right next to her.
Yeah, wow.
And any man having to listen to that, I couldn't imagine. Like, I would not stay with something like that.
No.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I don't know his heart and how he feels about her. All I know is his actions say he loves the shit out of her because he stayed through all of that. I mean, his kids are grown, so the excuse of we'll stay together for the kids, that's out the door.
Yeah.
So he's literally staying because he loves her and wants to be with her.
Well, hopefully it's not like a shitty prenup.
Reason.
Hopefully it's not like a really shitty prenup.
A shitty prenup, or maybe she's got the best blowjob in the entire world. Don't know.
Well, he ain't getting it.
For whatever reason, he has stayed with her.
Yeah.
But him doing that shit that night was fucked up. One, because he is a comedian, or he has at least worked on comedy stuff. He should understand that that's literally the fucking job.
Well, I'll pause you real quick. Hold on. Let me pause right there. It happened. And I don't know if this was on Nerd Rage, but I heard it at some point, somebody talking about it. There was a clip of Will Smith on the Arsenio Hall show, and he made a joke about someone else, and he got smacked for that joke. So this happened to Will when he was a young, dumb moron. This is the height of Fresh Prince and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So he, right then and there, he knew that it was a possibility that could happen, but he went ahead and did that to someone else on live TV, and that was just fucking stupid. But go ahead.
Yeah. So you're talking about a guy who, if not emotionally castrated, he's at least very emotionally abused. Very much so.
Yeah.
All right.
Very much so.
Our natural inclination as a man is to step up and defend that which is ours.
Yes.
You know, you talk about my wife, you talk about my kids, you talk about my mom. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna come slap the shit out you. That's just how it is. That's how we're hardwired to be that way. We are the hunters, the gatherers, the defenders. That is our job since back in the lizard days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that that's hardwired in him. So you have that. You have him being treated so shittily by this woman for whatever reason. People are trying to defend and act like she's some kind of victim in this situation.
Oh yeah.
He's completely in love with her, and she has completely castrated him as a man in public.
Yeah.
We all know this. This is not a private conversation they had in their house.
We've seen the crying video.
We have seen pictures of the man that she was fucking around with, her and him making out together. We have seen it with our own eyes.
Yes.
We have heard her out of her own mouth talk about what she has done behind this man's back.
And he made a song about it.
And made a joke about it.
Entanglements.
So can you imagine like the turmoil inside Will? Now you put those two things together and you got this guy who loves her and wants to stay with her. And this woman who is very emotionally abusive sitting right next to him and very manipulative and controlling with him. And he's laughing because it's funny. It's a comedian telling a joke. He knows it's a joke. He's a comedian, yada, yada.
Yeah.
He looks over at her and gets that fucking face. And inside him, I guarantee you, he went, oh, fuck, she's going to leave me because of this.
Or kick his ass that night. She might be.
Yeah, he had that thought pop in his head.
Yeah, something happened.
This will be the thing that makes her leave me for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so the best part of his reaction was when he went back to the chair and he sat there and he said, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. If he had reacted that way, I'd 100% backed him.
Yeah.
But that having to get up and peacock strut down there on national television, slap this motherfucker
and that wasn't
in
even
his face.
And it's not like it was a short walk either.
No. So he had it's all premeditated. You know, he didn't just slap him. Like there's premeditation. He's had 30 full seconds of thought processing between when he got up out of his chair and getting to Chris Rock,
Mhm.
and Chris Rock even smiling, laughing like, "Oh shit, here comes Will. We're gonna, he's acting like we're gonna have a conversation and talk." And then Will just bitch slaps him out of nowhere.
Exactly. Uh-oh.
First of all, he hits like a bitch because Will Smith has got to be 200 pounds at least.
He did a
He's been
Hollywood
trained in
spot.
boxing. He's pretty muscular. Chris Rock is like a $120 soaking fucking wet. He still has that same pookie body he had back in New Jack City.
Yeah.
He ain't got no bigger.
No.
That slap should have put his teeth in his feet from that size guy to that size guy, because Will Smith reached up, high-fived God, and brought it down and hit Chris. That should have collapsed him.
Well, that's what I'm
Instead,
saying.
it made him
He did a
swing his
Hollywood
head.
slap.
Well,
He's right back to laughing and talking. You know what I mean?
the only thing
That-
the only thing I can say to that is you can hear the impact to his shoulder or chest where the mic is, because you hear the impact on a like that. So he didn't
you
hit
see
his
where he grabbed
face
himself. He
as
grabbed
much.
himself.
Yeah. So
He hit his face, but he grabbed
hit
himself low on
he
the
hit
cheek.
here and then across. So like he
He
didn't
grabbed
hit
himself
straight.
low on the cheek.
If he had hit jaws
And Will
directly,
Smith's got a big hand
Yeah.
like me.
like I
got a big
agree.
hand.
I agree.
I can grip a basketball. So look at me right here.
Yeah.
I'm hitting my face, my neck, and my
Yeah.
shoulder all at the same time.
I think
So I mean, it's possible.
I think if Will had hit the way it sounded and looked, because I agree with you that if he flat out smacked him across the jaw and face, Chris would have been down. Should have been. I think he when the way he was
I'm not saying he's
leaning.
got a glass jaw and he'd
Yeah.
have been unconscious, but it
See,
should have moved him a lot more
the-
than it did.
See, I think because people talk away, they say like Chris was leaning into it, like he's gonna. It's like no, Chris was curious and thinking Will's just gonna come up and like do give him a noogie or some shit.
He was like leaning in for a hug
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
like a pat on the
So,
back. Like they're two comedians, they're two friends, they're two actors.
They know each other.
This is why I was saying that
Yeah.
this could
But-
be possibly
No,
staged.
But listen here, though, Mike. If you look at Chris, he's got his head tilted. Like, what are you going to say? Like, he's going to say something to him, and he's got this shoulder forward because that's just how
right.
he's leaning. He's got his hands behind his back because he's doing that thing. And I agree that if he, in a lot of ways, he should have put his hands up, but at this point, he also doesn't know what the fuck is happening. At the same time, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to jump into a fight. But what I was getting at is that he's got head tilted, shoulder forward. Will smacks. I'm saying it hit here and then across his face. At that point, he didn't get the full impact that should have knocked his ass out. But he definitely slapped him. He definitely slapped him.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people say it was a Hollywood slap or whatever and fake. But like, I mean, I've been bitch slapped before, and I didn't go down. It fucking hurt like a motherfucker, and I stood there.
Yeah, it does.
But you can see. There's video after the fact. I saw behind the scenes footage that was there, like somebody with their camera out. And like you can see Chris is still shook about what happened even later after that. He still doesn't know what the fuck to do.
Because you can tell he's
And
waiting in his little earpiece, like from the producers, like, what's going on here?
But even beyond that, he stumbles over his words. Like when he was shook
He's
about it.
flabbergasted that it just happened.
Yeah.
I mean that's crazy.
So-
This is my friend. This is somebody I've worked with. This is
The only thing that I could say that could have been premeditated about this is not that he was going to go up there and slap Chris, but the fact that on Twitter, Will/Jada said that we're about to bring some chaos, something like that. But they had no idea what was going to happen. And I don't think that this was the setup, but they had planned to do something in general at the Oscars. Maybe it was going to be during his speech if he won, or something was going to go down, and this just happened to be the opportunity. Like maybe the look was not just disrespect and then go do this. It was now's our chance, go do it. Because you also see when Will turns around, he's like laughing or he's got smiling when he walks away. But then he
wasn't smiling after he slapped him. He was not smiling.
Will, when he flipped around, he had a big old smile on his face. He did.
No.
Oh yes, he did. But either way, it doesn't matter. When he came back to his chair and he yelled back, that was real. That was fucking real. I've been there. What he was yelling, that he was shaking, everything, that was 100% real. I have been 100% that mad. And like, I know he's an actor.
When that adrenaline kicks in.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you.
Your body still.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think
plus on top of that, what was it? Denzel Washington was...
all the people nearby were like comforting him. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're like, Bradley Cooper was there. Like, dude, you just got to calm the fuck down. So when other actors believe what you're doing, that's not acting. That's fucking, that's real. But here's the thing. Here's the real controversy behind the scenes. They're like, Okay, why didn't the Academy have him removed? Why didn't security
Because they knew
get
he was
rid of
gonna
him?
win the win the
Okay,
best Oscar.
so you got slightly ahead of me because this is the problem. They said originally to put out a message that said they tried to have Will. They tried to tell Will he needed to leave, and he refused, and they just left it at that. Like I said, they went several times publicly. They said several times that they went to tell him to leave, and he refused. Which fine, why would you? But then later, they've now corrected it and said that they asked him to stay because once again they knew he was going to win. Will didn't know he was going to win. The fucking presenters don't know who's going to win, but the Academy, the people in charge running the fucking show, know he's going to
They
win.
definitely.
So you can't
They gotta print
have
the
your
card with his
best
name on it.
yeah, you can't have your fucking best actor be hauled out of there by security when
precisely.
when 30 minutes later you know he's going to win this fucking award. And you can't now
See,
here,
here's the
but hold on. The story has
Go
continued.
ahead.
Let's not even talk about the smack anymore. We'll continue with the story. So Chris Rock, the next day or two, doing comedy shows, now talks about it. How he's flabbergasted, and he's talking about like, yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I don't know how to react to it and shit like this. I was rocked by it, for no pun intended, obviously. And then like he started making jokes as best he could about it. He doesn't have a bit about it, but he's joking about the situation. But now we've got Will Smith publicly quitting the Academy. So they're probably either going to give back or remove his award. And there was another part to that. I forgot exactly what it was, but everybody keeps telling
Apparently,
Chris.
that's I heard he's keeping it.
I don't know. We'll see what
Doing it.
happens because he said he's good. I mean, he has every right to. He was in the Academy, but if they strip him of it because of his actions, fine. You know, I'm either way on that. I don't care either way. But
They'll
I'm just
just
saying.
asterisk them like they did Maris and Mantle with the home run
Yeah.
record.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
But then it comes down to it that a lot of people said, like, who is it? George, not Harrison. What's his name?
Lopez.
No. Old black
Clooney?
comedian, big, thick
Oh.
guy. He's been around for a very long time. He came out literally after all this shit happened. He said, "I'd be suing fucking Will Smith for $200 million fucking dollars right now. We'd be on it, no problem.
Yep.
I'd have every ounce of money if he did that shit to me." It's like Chris Rock needs to fucking sue his ass for doing that and file charges and all that. And for every
But here's the thing: Chris Rock is trying to take the high road.
Yes, I agree.
Of
I agree.
What I was talking about earlier, understanding how fucked up Will must be when it comes to him and Jada's relationship.
That's right.
I 100% agree.
100% get it, and I feel bad for him, man. Like when I saw him crying, those weren't tears because he fucked up. Those were tears because that's the situation his life now has.
Exactly.
Like as a grown man, I wanted to hug the guy and tell him, dude, I fucking understand. It's shit, and I'm sorry. You know, it sucks.
Yeah,
As much as
I
I
agree
want
with
to joke
that.
and clown on him and say he slapped like a bitch and all that good stuff, because that's just because I've been in fights and I've been hit and I've hit people. So that was a bitch slap to me.
Yeah.
But outside of that, just as an emotional human being and looking at him and his life and what he's going through, regardless of whether he's doing it by choice, it's still a shitty fucking situation.
Yeah.
It's like somebody shoots themselves in the foot and then they tell me about how bad it hurts. I don't have sympathy for them because it hurts, because they did it to them fucking selves. But I have empathy because I have hurt my foot and I know a hurt foot sucks to walk around with.
Exactly.
So I have empathy for
meme.
Will.
Exactly.
I have empathy for Will because of the emotional turmoil he must be in and must have been in. I do not have sympathy for Will because he chose to keep himself in that situation.
Yeah.
I get the abused spouse syndrome, and that does not have to be a physical abuse. It could be an emotional, psychosexual. It could be all kinds of different levels of abuse.
All of the above in this case.
I get that most people who are abused by it learn to take it. They get Stockholm syndrome. They defend the person attacking them. I get that. But we live in 2022. It would take him 10 minutes to find a website that would help him figure out how to fix that. And that's to help somebody who has no fucking money and no way to do anything.
Assuming he hasn't even been in therapy for years since all this nonsense became public, and he basically has been...
Oh, if he is in therapy, I guarantee you his therapist just reset the fucking clock because he blew all of it.
Yeah. And look, okay, so my only argument for this is that, one, he never should have got the fuck up and done that. He should have yelled. He should have yelled.
Stayed in the seat.
He should have yelled.
Stayed in the seat, I'd be 1,000% okay, Will was fine. I would still be like, it is a little bit of an overreaction to a fucking stupid ass joke.
Yeah.
But I would still be like, Will was just defending his wife's honor.
Yeah.
That's all he was doing.
But getting
He's
up
giving
and
Chris Rock
slapping
a
him
chance
was
to
stupid.
back out of the joke.
Yeah.
Or he's giving Chris Rock a chance to bull and be like, fuck you, I'll make as many jokes as I want. Then get up and slap the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
But you start on that level and work upward.
Yeah.
And that's why I said I see it from both points of view. Right? My husband defending his wife.
Yeah.
But Chris Rock having the First Amendment behind him and every reason to say what he did because it's his job and he has the freedom of speech. Boil it down to its simplest equation.
Well, let's look at it this way. And a lot of people, Jim Carrey specifically said this on the interview.
Jim Carrey said he's going to sue him.
Yeah. So what Jim Carrey said,
distress or some shit.
Well, what Jim Carrey said was literally the right thing. You do not attack comedians for their things they say, for telling jokes. It's wrong, and you can't set the precedent that you can support this idea, though you can just go on stage and attack somebody physically for something they said. Now, it has happened, and it's always been treated like the crime it was. In this case...
I'm calling the kettle black, though.
Yes, but what I'm getting at is that he's right. You do not attack a comedian on stage for telling jokes. You just don't. And Will Smith should have known better. Yes, he's in an emotional turmoil. He's not in his right brain.
Anyone over a joke.
You don't attack anyone over a joke. You don't destroy people's lives over a joke.
People that are Canadians.
No. You attack. You can attack them on Twitter. You can attack them on Twitter. You don't attack them in person. Twitter mobs can do what Twitter mobs do, but do not physically attack people for having a different opinion or telling a joke.
Everyone knows us Canadians are friendly.
Canadians are shit. Canadian comedians.
Bear hug.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Ricky. In Canada, they just lock up comedians for saying bad things.
That's right.
They just throw them in jail.
We do it right. We throw them in jail.
There's no First Amendment there. They literally just jail comedians instead.
Yeah. So they got free medical health. It's cool.
Shit. So socialized. It's never free.
Pastors too.
Yeah.
So
all right.
And truckers and
we got a couple quick other things to hopefully roll into other than that, but that was a big deal and people have been talking about it, and thank God, because we just needed to not pay attention to Ukraine for 5 minutes.
Can I tell my favorite meme before we move on?
Yes, you can tell your meme by all means.
Sure.
What's the difference between another man's dick and another man's joke? Jada will take one but not the other.
There you go. There you go. Now I will say it's also she's been
Tupac wouldn't have taken that shit.
Exactly.
Tupac would have shot him. That was the one.
Tupac would have shot him is a great one. I love that one. I was like, damn.
And the Sonic rings.
The Sonic rings one is also very good. All right. Anyways, so guys, sorry we had some technical issues. There will be an extra episode on our final discussion that it went on for a very long time. It's very politically charged. If you're interested in that, it will be its own separate thing. We do get pretty heated about it, and it's a pretty big topic realistically. So if you are interested, please listen to that separate episode.
Heated or passionate?
Both. I mean, I didn't say angry. We got passionate about it. So don't confuse my passion for anger. So, but either way, guys, as I was trying to say before, Ricky, cut off everything there. I said we did watch Moon Knight. We didn't discuss it at all this time, but we will next time in our weeks. But either way,
how did I cut off anything?
Because you said cut all that shit off is what you said, and that was in that, dumbass. You didn't.
What happens?
I would have to edit around that comment. So either way,
I haven't had my mess tonight. Leave me alone.
It's fine. Dude, my dinner has been here for 2 fucking hours. I'm just sitting in the living room.
My wife's going to bed. I just gave her the food signal, and she's like, "I'm trying to go to bed."
Exactly.
Like,
So either way, guys, if you like what we're doing, leave a like. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, because apparently we're the only ones subscribed to the channel, which is hilarious. Now, we did the math at the beginning of the episode.
Send us some questions. I know it's an obnoxiously long email, but send us some shit to talk about. We don't mind.
Yes, please.
Right.
If you have questions, send them to NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail@gmail.com. The link is down below, so you don't have to remember it. If you want to subscribe to any of my SHOKY channels, they are linked down below as well. Same for Mike, the Comic Relief Crusader, to his YouTube, and to his merch page where you can buy anything at Freelance Graphics with a K. And if you want to see anything that Rikki does, he does edit the promo videos for Nerd Rage Radio that you guys can go see that. What?
I don't need all that. All I need to say
Hey, look, just go look at his work. That's all it is.
us.
Just go look at that. It's
I don't
fun.
care about that.
But it's fun.
Listen to Nerd Rage. Check them out.
No, we're
Listen
not
to
promoting
us.
Nerd Rage just because we can.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I
No,
am.
we-
If
no,
you
we
would
need
promote
Nerd-
his website,
Yeah.
I would promote
we need Nerd Rage to come promote us is what we need. Bobby.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's a cyclical thing. We
There
promote
we go.
them, they promote us.
Shit.
Yeah.
We're part
Check
of the
them
cool
out.
table.
They're cool dudes.
According
They're
to
like
them,
us.
according to them, we're part of the cool table, so it's fine.
Ooh.
Well, technically speaking,
Nice.
because they always say is like if you have a podcast and you listen to this podcast, you're part of the cool table, so we count. Yay!
There it is.
We'll just never have a spot on the actual table. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But guys, since we still don't have a fucking sign out, because we'll figure this out eventually, in Sean's honor, I'm gonna end this on a okay. Bye.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.